Kansas City. You ready? You ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Welcome to the race.
All right, here we go once again from St. Joe. Another year of Chiefs training camp. Cody and Gold live up at Missouri Western State University. It is good to be back, man. We tried to get here yesterday.
Does feel good.
We were on our way up. We had to flip a U-turn a little bit and head back down to Kansas City for studio, but we are on remote today. And a beautiful day for Chiefs training camp. Coming up a little bit later on, we will be joined by George KARLAFTIS exclusively here on 610 Sports Radio. That'll be in the 11 o'clock hour or so. And I definitely want to talk to him, not only right now because Chris Jones is not around, but
kind of important.
He was the guy that every practice we noticed Frank Clark and Chris Jones were working with him. So is he doing that now? Who's he working with? Who's taking on that role? Maybe he's doing that himself. And so looking forward to KARLAFTIS joining us in about an hour and a half or so.
I just want to know if he's seen Barbie.
Yeah, or Oppenheimer, one of the two. I don't know if they've done that yet.
Dude, but those are two big movies.
It's a good call.
You would think that that's at least on the docket. I am attempting to do the live stream as well, although the angles of us right now, because we're standing,
we are standing,
is not great. But honestly, it feels a bit like Groundhog Day. Like we were supposed to be up yesterday. I was mentally prepared for camp. And now all of a sudden, Gold, we're up here, and we're actually watching it, and we've already seen an interception, and Butker hit a 55-yard field goal and everything else in between. So it feels like we're actually here again. What can I say?
Yeah, it is great to be back up here. Of course, we are in the Ag Power broadcast tent. Score big this year with your home team John Deere dealer, Ag Power. Visit agpower.com for more. Coming up in about 30 minutes or so, we'll get to what John Sherman wrote to fans today. His letter, he released that today. You heard him earlier this morning on Fesco in the Morning. He talked about his plans, of course, for the stadium. A lot of things we had heard, but also a little more detail on a few things. We'll play some of that back for you and react a little bit because, of course, we now know even more so the timeline that in the next 30 days or so, we're gonna find out more information in more of these sites.
On good authority, Gold, inside of 30 days, I think somewhere inside 3 weeks, fresh renderings for you, my guy.
Yes.
Fresh renderings of both. Site-specific renderings
for both
of ones at the village, at the West Village or the
East Village,
Village location, and of course of the North Kansas City location. So actual, real-life renderings for you of what the site and how that site would look. Not the generic kind. You know that downtown one they've sent out a couple of times where it's like, here's some downtown and a stadium, and it's not even the part of downtown. It's just like cool downtown. No, site-specific. So we'll get an idea of what this actually looks like. Aren't you excited?
But you know I'm all about the renderings.
Fresh and Kansas City renderings. I mean, this is your Super Bowl.
Yeah, more specific ones, more specifics on what it could look like. You know, it's weird. Even though we both think that it'll end up being the downtown East Village side, I am curious to see what the rendering of the North Kansas City, if it, they've talked about this Wrigleyville idea, neighborhood atmosphere. I'll be really curious to see just what that rendering looks like. But we'll talk more Royals baseball, in particular what John Sherman had to say this morning coming up at 10:30 or so. We got our intern Quinn producing the show back in Kansas City. And when you think about the Chiefs, though, just a couple things to get you caught up on what we've seen so far today. No surprise, of course, Turk Warden's still on the PUP list, so he's not here. Chris Jones still not here, if you were wondering. Not showing up. Not surprised. We don't expect that to happen for quite some time. And Kadarius Toney, of course, not here as well. What we're waiting to hear is an official update from the Chiefs. That should come around 11 o'clock. You'll hear Andy Reid today on this show. You'll hear Patrick Mahomes. You'll hear Jerick McKinnon. And as I mentioned, George KARLAFTIS is going to sit down right with us here exclusively. But I want to get exactly what Andy Reid and the Chiefs are putting out there on the injury front for Kadarius Toney again yesterday.
Other than Travis Kelce, you mean?
It was Travis Kelce who kind of spilled the beans a little bit, like, yeah, we hope he's back by the season, maybe a few weeks in. And then Adam Schefter came out with that report that suggested that they expect him back before the start of the season. We'll be curious to hear what Andy has to say, and if we get any more specific detail on what they want to call this knee tweak from 2 days ago, that's now clearly not just a tweak.
Yeah, the question is, what they're describing it as, because if they're saying we expect him to be ready by the beginning of the season, well, then at least they're giving us a timeline, because the reporting right now has done everything to try to soften it. The first thing was Kelce talks, and you're like, doomsday, right? He might miss 2-3 weeks into the season. Then Schefter reports, and they're like, they're still thinking he'll be ready for the beginning of the season. How confident will Andy say? He likes to be vague. But if he says, we're hopeful to get him back by the beginning of the season, to me, then the original Travis Kelce timeline remains. And he has some sort of small knee issue that's going to keep him out more than a month. And by the way, if it is a knee issue that keeps you out more than a month and you are an injury-prone player, I'm going to be worried about that knee the rest of the time. Also, I'm going to be worried about the fact that they were going to be spending this time trying to train his body in a way so that he stopped having those soft tissue injuries. Turns out you can't do that, Gold, if you can't use your knee. which means all of those other things open up, which kind of brings me back to this same thing, which is a question a couple of people asked me yesterday when I was just running around and people are excited to talk Chiefs, which is, should Tony even be returning punts? And the short answer I have for that is kind of what Pete had told us yesterday, and that's really the key here. Should he return punts all the time? No. God, no. Absolutely not. When you become a full-time player like Tyreek Hill, you get out of that game. But should you do it occasionally as a chance to return that massive one in the Super Bowl? Hell yes. Which means he's got to take some snaps back there. This is a freak-ish injury. It's just because it's an injury-prone player, we want to take away a lot of his responsibilities. The answer is he should stand back there and make sure he can catch something for when they need the home run, they can still go to it. But should he do it all the time? No. God, no.
No, he shouldn't do all the time, but the injury and what happened to me has nothing to do with the punt returns, though. Yes, he happened to, before practice actually had really started, happened to be when the injury occurred, returning a punt. But that doesn't mean that, oh, man, he was only going to get hurt if he was doing punt returns. You know what I mean? Like,
no, he could have gotten hurt doing anything.
Yeah, so I don't think, to me, the injury shouldn't play into your thinking about the punt return or not. I think it's more about what you said. The reps, if he's actually your number one wide receiver, which is very much in doubt, obviously, based on availability, and now more than ever, if you are looking at the amount of reps that a number one wide receiver gets, you want to keep him fresh. It's why Tyreek Hill wasn't just the injury concern when Tyreek was not doing it or doing it. It was about keeping him fresh in the reps and making sure that the conditioning is there and you're not wearing the guy out as much as anything.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important, more than the injury concern. Hey, if that actually is going to be the guy that's getting number one reps as a number one wide receiver, I should say, then you want to make sure that he's healthy and available from a conditioning aspect as well. So that's kind of, it doesn't swing it. I think they have some other options, though. One of the players yesterday when we were going through, we said, hey, these are the three guys we want to really watch when we get up here at camp. Deneric Prince is one of them. Obviously, the offense,
of course, Louis Riddick just added fuel to that fire last night.
He did the same thing with Pacheco.
Well, he did the same thing with Pacheco. He did the same thing with Mahomes.
Yeah.
He is the, throws out one Chiefs name a year and just sees if you're interested in that party. Do we have Prince here? Look, I'll point the camera.
Point, so you're not really seeing. You're not really
going to see
there.
much.
No,
yeah,
I don't think so.
Just an extra point. We'll assume that it's going to be good, or you can watch corners go up against each other.
You're going to assume that it's going to be good?
Yeah. I'm not filming.
Is it?
I don't know. I can't tell from this
it
angle.
is. It is. It is good.
You'll be happy to know.
It is.
First reported extra point of
that's
the
right.
training camp.
You know that's very crucial. When we're here,
that's just part of the sights and the sounds.
We got to fill you in, sights and sounds, all the field goals, all the snaps, everything. Quarterbacks currently are in front of us here at camp. We'll let you know if anything notable happens there. But yeah, look, Cody, I think for Kadarius Toney, what we hear today will give you even more insight on at least potentially the timeline. I don't think we're going to hear. There's no reason for the Chiefs or Andy Reid to come out and say, "Oh, yep, he's not playing Week 1." Of course not.
But they should be realistic about the timeline. If he's going to be out for most of camp, just say it.
Yeah.
They think sometimes by telling us something. Look, I get it. If you just want to be like, hey, we're hoping to have him by Week 1 so that the Lions have to prepare for Tony, okay.
Right. Now, if he says.
But if you're like, he's day-to-day, if I hear day-to-day today, that's it.
I don't think you're going to hear day-to-day.
Then I'll just assume Tony's out for 2 months.
I don't think you're going to hear day-to-day. My guess is you're going to hear, well, we're going to rest him. It could be a couple weeks at least. Something like that is what I'm guessing you're going to hear. You're not going to hear, it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks. I think you're going to hear it's going to take some time. Someone will say, like, are we talking weeks? Are we talking a month? And Andy will say, we'll say, we'll see, or he'll say weeks. One of the two. We're not going to get a definitive timeline.
I think it'll be we're going to check on him in 2 weeks and see where he is, and then in 2 weeks when we ask, he's like, well,
but 2 weeks
we're still evaluating.
2 weeks from now, camp's almost over at that point.
No, there's yes, I
camp's
understand.
last day is what, the 17th?
Yeah.
So that's almost 2.5, 3 weeks from now.
Do you really? At this point, we just have to assume, right, that it's not worth the effort. It's just not worth the effort to keep him on punt returns full time. But I also don't think that was their plan. The Chiefs have a pretty regular line of jobs, which is you were a full-time special teams player until you were a full-time starter. Willie Gay, Nick Bolton, they played special teams too until they were a full-time starter. Once you're a full-time starter, you don't do so much special teams anymore. We'll ask the young guys to do that, and that has always pretty much included punt and kick returns. They kept Tyreek on it a little bit longer, but his level of dynamic made it probably almost impossible in those meetings to be like, oh, my God. But then, you know what happened? Tyreek still getting those little, ticky-tack injuries where he missed, a game for, a hamstring or an ankle or something, and they're like, yeah, let's just have somebody else return punts. When we need the homer, that's the case. And on kick returns, Tony's not doing that anyway. So, a lot of this is just guessing what we think happens next with this team, but I hope. I really do hope, obviously, that Tony gets back as quick as possible because they need him on the offensive line.
Our training camp
I'm
coverage.
sorry, the offensive wide receiver group.
Yeah, training camp coverage brought to you by the St. Joseph Convention and Visitors Bureau. Be a part of history by attending Chiefs training camp. Learn more at stjomo.com. So first day of camp for us, and one of the actual position groups that I think at one point we were probably going to focus more in on was the offensive line. We can do it today, but it's probably not as intriguing as it was even a year ago because it sure seems like that starting five is set barring an injury. I know at one point we said, oh, well, maybe Juwan Taylor can impress and take the job from Donovan Smith there at left tackle.
Sure.
I think if everybody's healthy throughout this camp, I think that is the offensive line. I think Donovan Smith is your left tackle. I think we obviously know Tooney's your left guard, Creed Humphrey's your center, Trey Smith your right guard, and then Juwan Taylor, who you gave the big contract to in the offseason, will end up playing right tackle this year. Doesn't mean we won't see a random rep at left tackle, but I do think if Donovan Smith stays healthy, I believe you'll just see that starting offensive line, and that's the plan going forward. So you hope those guys stay healthy because if you looked at like the second team, as we were watching the offensive line, second team, it wasn't like they were giving Juwan Taylor second team left tackle reps. That's not how they do that. So
they just give him starter snaps.
Exactly. And for all the talk about, Wanye Morris, and at one point was he in the mix? He wasn't even at least yesterday.
Not even healthy.
Wasn't even not healthy and wasn't out there with the two. So I mean, that was never going to happen.
Look, it's a lot of this for me is just reevaluating how I view and what I see in the offensive linemen. Because I was trying to view them from a fresh perspective, Gold. Because last year, you and I both agree they were top 5 offensive line in the NFL?
Yeah.
Top 5, right? And I'm like, okay, I want them to be a top 5 offensive line in the NFL again. And under normal circumstances, Gold, would you feel good about that if the if you lost your left and right tackle? Typically, no.
Well, they got a better right tackle. As much as we liked Andrew Wiley, but right tackle, if it is Juwan Taylor playing right tackle, and I believe it will be, that's an upgrade, man. That's a significant upgrade at right tackle. Now, long term, maybe he is the left tackle of the future.
I think they might be.
Yeah.
I think they might be the same. Even if they're a little bit worse, they are an aggregate better.
Yeah, Donovan Smith, if he's healthy and you really believe that it was just the health was the only reason why he dropped off last year for the Bucs, then to me, you will end up getting very similar performance that you got from Orlando Brown, and maybe at times worse. But fans won't be on his ass the way they were Orlando Brown Jr. for a couple reasons. One, the money, right? You're paying a one-year deal for Donovan Smith. It's different.
Sure.
And some of the comments, people, let's be honest, let's just call it like it is. A lot of fans just didn't like Orlando Brown Jr. That's just what it was.
Yeah.
Sometimes I thought it got out of hand. It wasn't an accurate assessment all the time of his play. But I don't think you're getting an upgrade at left tackle, no. And that's okay, by the way. That's fine because you're not paying that guy $70 million over 3 years or something like that. But at right tackle, even though Andrew Wiley did a really nice job, got a nice payday to go with the Commanders, at right tackle with Juwan Taylor, that is to me a significant upgrade on the right side of the line. And right tackle, the gap between left and right in terms of importance has shrunk because of how defenses have played over the last 5 years. They're rotating guys around. You're not always matched up with the same guy. They're going to move some of those elite pass rushers like Joey Bosa. He's not just going to be matched up with your left tackle. They're going to move them all over the place.
I think what I'm trying to figure out on their end is what is their peak and what is their floor? Because I would ask that if a unit was reconfigured. Because if it's the same unit, we know that their peak is top 5. We know that their floor is, top 10 last year from an offensive line perspective, if it was just the same unit. This year, I honestly think their peak could be that they're the best offensive line in the NFL. But the biggest missing element of that is it requires Donovan Smith to be what he was about 2 years ago. Yeah. And not go way – he doesn't have to go in the Wayback Machine, right? He doesn't have to be what he was 5 years ago. He doesn't have to be what he was 6 years ago. We're not asking for something impossible. We are literally just asking whether or not he can return to some sort of form where he was before Gold. That's it. That's all we're asking for. And so if he can return to that, then we're having a very different conversation, and we'll be able to have a different conversation around him. But they're capable of being the best offensive line in the NFL. But their basement is worse than last year's. Because if Donovan Smith straight up stinks, and all of a sudden Juwan Taylor's got to be the left tackle, a guy who's never done it, and he's average or below average because he's never played left tackle, and then you're just, I don't know, you're either putting Donovan Smith at right tackle or something else, I'd still think they'd be a top 15 offensive line, but you could take a significant dip down.
We know there's issues with Pro Football Focus grading, right? That's no secret. But last year, out of 68 or 69 offensive linemen that they graded, Donovan Smith was, I think, 66th or 67th, Now,
He's pretty bad, but he was
tend-
also hurt.
I tend to believe it was the injury. I think the Chiefs clearly tend to believe that was the injury more than anything else. But that's the question. If he's healthy, then I think they're going to be fine. But we know that there's going to be some offensive line injuries every year. That nobody goes through a full season with your all 5 of your guys not getting banged up.
Did they
at
last
all.
year? They missed Trey Smith for a game.
Yeah,
He was gone for like a game or two,
yeah,
right?
But that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying guys are out for a month, but you're very rarely going to get 17 across the board. Now, a guy like Creed Humphrey played all 17. Joe Tooney's going to play basically. You know, I mean, although Joe Tooney was it last year, 2 years ago, Tooney missed a game or two. So it happens no matter who you are.
Yeah, and Joe Tooney, his 1 quarter of left tackle still talked about in lore.
Oh,
it's
man.
like a folklore. You know, where those like back in medieval times when like a bard would play a song telling a story of a tale of a long time ago. That was Joe Tooney's one brief foray into playing left
That's
tackle
amazing.
for this team.
It really is.
There's still people that are like, get rid of Donovan Smith, move Jawan Taylor to left tackle, and just have Joe Tooney play right. I'm like, stop it. He's the best left guard in football. They have the best center in football. They have one of the better right guards in football. Maybe just let the interior of the offensive line dominate, and we'll figure out tackle. I know that's normally backwards or contrary to what people would typically do, but that feels like the appropriate, correct play in this situation.
Coming up in about 15 minutes or so, we'll talk some Royals baseball. John Sherman penned the letter to Royals fans today about, of course, the future of Kauffman Stadium, the stadium project. Also, mention a little bit about where this team is at when he joined Fesco in the morning today. So you'll hear some of that, and we'll certainly have some thoughts. I know you do. That letter came out right as we were about pulling in the parking lot here to St. Joe, and I'm sure by now a lot of you have had a chance to read it. So we'll take your reaction to it as well on the J Southland Tow Service text line, 913-586-7610. We know Chris Jones is not here. We know Chris Jones reportedly is looking for $30 million on average per year. That's according to Nate Taylor, who will join us at 12:30 today, by the way, here from our Chiefs training camp coverage. But it was interesting to see one of the other guys that hasn't shown up for different reasons, not wanting to sign his franchise tag in New York. That's with the Giants. That's their running back. All the talk the last couple weeks about running backs and, they need to form their own union, which, by the way, never happened.
That's not how it works. You
It's
can't
never
just start
happening.
separate unions inside of your union.
Exactly. So the running backs, that talk is ridiculous.
It's gotten out of control. Out of control.
If you've been listening the last 2 weeks, you guys know my feelings on that. I think it's gotten ridiculous, and why for one particular position group wouldn't a union focus just on them? Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, Saquon Barkley, though, today, Cody, reached a 1-year deal with incentives that can make it up to $11 million. After his comments just a few days ago where he basically was like, F the Giants, F that team. The new thing, not the new thing, it's just what people have done the last couple of years. He scrubbed them from his social media. That's when That's when you know things are getting real.
So I'll know that you'll have a problem with 610 if you scrub it from your social media.
That's exactly that's exactly right. But Barkley and the Giants agreed to terms on a 1-year deal worth $11 million, $2 million signing bonus. And what's weird about this, though, is the $909,000 in incentives come out to be, whether or not he gets certain rushing yards, playoff berth, touchdowns, receptions. It doesn't include a no franchise tag clause, right? So they could tag him again after this season, and that's not what Barkley got. He was hoping that was going to be the case. But this is weird. Barkley's reporting on the first day of training camp for veterans, and his holdout essentially for $900,000?
Yeah.
They didn't get the long-term deal before the deadline. He would have had to play this season for 10.1 almost.
Running backs, they'll just never learn. And I understand it, man. Sometimes you want to be the person who changes the world, Gold. We could all do in our industry. It'd be like your buddy Bill in accounting who's like, I can't believe we do it this way, and I'm taking it to the top. I'm like, you're not winning this battle on your own, Bill. It's not plausible. He actually, what he did was held out for less money. That's what happened, Gold. He's taking a 1-year deal, and he's betting on himself, which he can do. And then next year he will try to get a massive contract again because there were reports that he got offered $13 million per year. Now, you and I both know that when those numbers get leaked out, the amount of guarantees, the number of years guaranteed could be a bit of a lie versus maybe this $11 million offers him more in year one than the other ones. But he had more money per year on the table. You can bet on yourself that way too. Just try to stay healthy, play out that contract, earn your incentives, and get your contract, and just get your guaranteed money. Because the sad part for running backs is if he suffers one more injury, then he's not getting it anyway, Gold. And at running back, it's not all that hard to suffer that injury. The only guy who seems to be able to be hurt, still get paid is Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, he's
like the one dude. I don't know why, but it's just him.
He's also just different than those guys. He's better than them, plain and simple. Yeah, there's an
he just
injury
does way
history.
more.
He's a wide receiver. He's a running back. He played quarterback this past year for a few snaps because in the Wildcat because of the injuries for the Niners. I mean, that's why there's a difference. And I've told you all along, I have no issue with how GMs approach this. Running backs have the right to be upset, but the way GMs have structured their teams, they know the kind of value they can find at running back. And so if I'm divvying up my salary cap roster, especially with quarterback salaries on the rise, I know that running back's not going to be the priority position. And it's a sad reality if I'm someone that's a running back. It does suck. It's not quote-unquote fair, but also this is kind of how it goes when there's a market of supply and demand at a running back position. That exists, even though we're talking about running backs in the NFL, there's way too many quality running backs at decent value. I'm not saying that Pacheco is Saquon Barkley.
He's not.
But
not yet anyway.
But when you look at the value of what you're getting from Pacheco and what you're paying him, yeah, I'll take that scenario. Especially when I know I'm paying Patrick Mahomes and I know I'm paying Kelsey and maybe I'm paying Chris Jones a ton of money here very soon.
Or Snead or any of these other players. It's like you just rather – and here's the thing. Paying a running back anything over that amount is when it starts to get crazy. Because – like sometimes you pay a running back $5 or $6 million, and you're like, okay, but how much more can I really buy with that? What can I buy? A backup kicker and a backup offensive line? Like I can't buy that much with what the average running back in the NFL makes. When you start talking about Saquon money, $11, $10, $12 million, you can get Juju Smith-Schuster on the open market. You can get a starting guard for your team in that market. Maybe not the best starting guard in the NFL goal, but you can buy a couple of positions, a couple of starting positions for that, including your running back. You might be able to get a wide receiver and a running back for that price tag, and that's where the problem inevitably stands. It looked like he held out for nothing. This is the thing.
No, it's $900,000.
Like, wow, man,
$900,000.
You really did it, Saquon. You really stuck it to him. You signed a one-year deal for $900,000 more. And look, at running back, maybe that's enough. It's not like you and I wouldn't hold out from our job for $900,000, but it's probably the equivalent of you and I holding out for a job for $900. And I don't know if I would risk the fines, risk pissing off my team and all that stuff, risk pissing off my station, my boss. Speck's just mad at me all the time. He's like, you did this for $900, dude, for the whole year? I'm like, I wanted that $900.
I do
That's
think
a rent payment.
The parallels don't exist necessarily with Chris Jones entirely in Barkley, but the fact that Chris Jones now, today's his third missed practice, so that's $150,000 that he's willing just to eat unless they work it in the signing bonus. And meanwhile, like you just said, Barkley held out and made sure he can get $900,000, which is funny. Chris Jones' fines are going to reach $900,000 here in about a week and a half.
Won't take long. By the way, Chris, if you are listening to the show,
we do have snow cones.
I have it on official confirmation. Snow cone, your snow cone hookup is still good, man.
Yes.
You come here, the second you show up at camp, we got a snow cone for you. In the meantime, we will take care of your fellow teammates because we are good, honorable men. So George KARLAFTIS, when he comes to the table later, if he would like a snow cone, it's his.
Thanks to our friends at Cone Ice, once again, hooking us up with some snow cones. Yeah, we're going to be joined by George KARLAFTIS. Text line is pointing out because they must be watching the stream. We do have video up today on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. And someone says, do we have emergency hair gel for Gold? We need to Crisco for you. It's the humidity.
It is falling down, dude. You're looking a bit almost like you've been going through like a sweaty bender. Well, do you need a haircut?
It is humid, man. It's the gel is not holding up. It's like a wax, but it's not holding up.
You know,
in the humidity here.
Nothing in my hair ever.
I know.
Ever. Just live my life, never putting any kind
Who's
of gel.
going to lose their hair first, you or me? I think
probably me. But
I'm worried that there's going to eventually be a big bald spot like on the back right. Your hair is getting thinner.
It's been getting, but it's like, I would say that my hair texture changed maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. It was never really thick.
By the way, the text line is correct.
So it's hard to say. I'm guessing it'll be me.
Are you saying tomorrow I need to bring? I refuse to do that.
Bring what?
They're saying I need to bring more product.
I think just wear a hat.
No, I'm not a hat guy.
You can wear for this circumstance.
I don't need a hat, but the humidity is definitely taking a toll on the hair. Normally we're on the radio. It doesn't matter. But we got the video out here. It's the first time
Changes the game.
It's the first time at camp. Of course, we are inside of the Ag Power tent as we broadcast live from Chiefs Camp here in St. Joe, where you can score big this year with your home team, John Deere dealer, Ag Power. Visit agpower.com for more. Coming up next, John Sherman. He joined Fesco in the morning today. He pinned a letter to Royals fans. Want to get your guys' reaction to that letter. I certainly have some thoughts, and you'll hear why he released the letter and the biggest holdup, he says, in the entire stadium process. Next here on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold.
The Disgusting Brothers.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Let's face it, talking about life insurance is never easy. But after we watched a close friend lose her husband with no insurance, we decided that wasn't going to happen to our family.
Yeah, but shopping for life insurance can be almost as difficult as talking about it.
Your mics are off.
Okay.
And then when we come back from commercial break, are you going to throw it into those audios and I can play them?
We don't have time for unnecessary doctor's visits, fine print, or hidden fees. You know, who want to keep it simple.
I couldn't believe how easy it was. We answered a few basic questions, and within minutes, we had an estimate of what it would cost and what sort of policy made sense for us.
I never imagined life insurance could be so affordable.
And accessible.
The peace of mind knowing that our future is secure, it just removes a lot of the fear around getting older, and
Yeah, the unexpected.
I'm glad we talked about it.
I'm glad we went with ethoslife.com.
Go to ethoslife.com now for your free estimate. That's ETHOSlife.com. EthosLife.com.
My friends at Window World asked me to tell you about a very special auction benefiting Action for Autism. Action for Autism is a Missouri organization that provides therapy and learning for kids ages 2 to 21 to help them prepare for a successful future. You can bid on a whole home renovation worth $40,000. To place your bid, go to the Kansas City Chiefs website or windowskc.com. The bidding starts at $15,000. The auction will close on July 27th, and it's so easy to register. The renovation package includes windows, exterior wrapped, insulated siding, gutters, doors, and much more. Every penny of the proceeds go to Action for Autism. You can make a donation. If you choose not to submit a bid, all you need to do is go to windowskc.com for all the details. 1 out of 68 children born today are diagnosed with autism, and you can make a difference in these kids' lives by making a bid or a donation at windowskc.com today.
Tailgates in Turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC, turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com. Join Mark Patrick seminars and stop smoking without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Only $49.99 guaranteed. That's right. Don't just cut down, but stop smoking once and for all. Also, lose all the weight and let hypnosis destroy unwanted cravings, late day eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating, and lose the weight. Stop smoking seminar Wednesday, August 9th at the Wingate Hotel in Kansas City. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. and stop smoking at 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end. The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
There's no hiding from Bluebell Monster Cookie Dough Ice Cream. Creamy vanilla ice cream, peanut butter monster cookie dough, brown sugar, candy-coated chocolate, and dark chocolate flavored chunks. A taste so good, you'll need a bigger bowl.
The good old days are being made right now. The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell Ice Cream at your favorite grocer. If you can't find it, please ask for it.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Thinking about gas mileage? If your check engine light is on, it may be affecting your MPGs, but the free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help. With the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes, you'll know what's affecting your gas mileage and more, and you don't have to drive too far to find the fix. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service is available at all 6,200 stores.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
See details at AutoZone.com.
When I can't sleep, my mind just races. I think about work, the kids, but I don't think about taking melatonin because I'm afraid I'll feel groggy in the morning.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies has an optimal dose of melatonin for no next-day grogginess, so you can fall asleep naturally and wake up feeling refreshed. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies for better sleep like never before. And try Pure Z Sleep Plus Next Day Energy with melatonin plus extended release B vitamins.
Yo, Biv, this one still needs to be vacuumed.
The service at Chuck's car detailing business is spotless. But new word of mouth recommendations leave him short of hands.
They don't have an appointment? Just get him in line behind the pickup truck. I'll stay for another couple hours and get it done tonight.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Royals baseball is in full swing.
That ball is gone. It's a home run by Vinny Pasquantino.
With the free Odyssey app, local fans can listen live all summer long, whether you're at the grill or at the pool.
Looks up and it's gone. MJ Melendez hits a solo homer over the right center field fence.
Royals baseball. Royals announcers. Streaming live on the free Odyssey app. AUDACY. Get in the game and download it today.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Max Motors. 9 major vehicle brands to choose from. MaxMotors.com.
Max Motors saved me thousands. I got a lot more for my trade, and they got me a low interest rate. I know I saved over $100 per month on my payment. It was worth the drive for me and my family.
Make it a smart buy and save thousands. MaxMotors.com.
Not come out right, though I tried not to hurt you, though I tried, but I guess that's why they say.
All right, we're back here in St. Joe at Chiefs Training Camp. Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp with you. We'll get to Q's coming up in about 15 minutes or so. Also expected in the 11 o'clock hour today to be joined exclusively by George KARLAFTIS. Last year when he stopped by our tent, of course, he was just a rookie. He was still learning everything. This year, of course, much bigger shoes maybe to fill without Frank Clark on the opposite side. Can he build off that 6.5 sack season? So looking forward to having George KARLAFTIS. Do you think he ever knew about Georgie Porgy Pudding Pie? Do you think he ever knew about that? We'll get Cody's headset working there.
The wrong headphones. You know what? I don't know. I don't know if he ever knew about Georgie Porgy Pudding Pie. That's a fair question. My guess is no.
Okay.
But
so we'll hear from him.
Anything's possible, I guess.
Andy Reid.
Jody Fortson didn't know about his thing, remember?
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Pretty good chance Georgie Porgy Pudding Pie never hit his ears.
So we'll hear from Andy Reid in the 11 o'clock hour today, Patrick Mahomes, and Jerick McKinnon as well, as we're broadcasting here in our Chiefs Training Camp. Coverage on 610 Sports Radio is brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views. And right now our view is just of the special teams. The offense is on the other field. If you've been up to camp, you know what we're talking about. There's two fields. Yeah, we can stand up if you want to get a glimpse of the offense over there. Patrick Mahomes, during the break, he was intercepted. Oh, no, Cody. Patrick Mahomes was intercepted.
Do you remember that being a story? You weren't covering the Chiefs.
Nick Jones was the
You weren't covering the Chiefs at the time. So I don't know if you remember.
I remember the front page
the
of
rookie,
ESPN.
Dude, the rookie year Patrick Mahomes training camp interception thing was a huge story we had to consistently debunk. Like, it doesn't matter. They're just interceptions. It's just training camp. And then, of course, his very first year where he's just like a full-blown starter, he goes for 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. And you're like, okay, so maybe those training camp interceptions weren't a big deal after all. They started gunslinger, reckless. Now it's Tyler Bray. Now we were talking about, like, the original stuff, so I'm going way back in the time machine. Now we're getting backup players, so I don't really care as much.
We'll get back to some Chiefs in just a second, I promise. We'll specifically talk about the tight end grouping and maybe an opportunity for one of these tight ends. But we mentioned John Sherman. was on with Fesco in the morning earlier today. The Royals owner pinned a letter to Royals fans this morning. And look, I think before we even get into what he had to say, and hopefully some of you have had a chance to read the letter, I think it's awfully difficult at this stage probably to send a letter and think that, and I don't think they're naive enough to think that people are going to change their opinion, because I've already seen some of the reaction just on social media, and I'll be curious to get your guys' thoughts on the text line, 913-586-7610. But Cody, there's some people that made up their mind already a long time ago that he could have in the letter, like I don't know how many people actually read the full letter. Okay?
I did.
No,
did you?
I know you did. I'm saying in general. I'm convinced people made their mind up so much, though, that he could have said, hey, here's a code. If you enter it, you're going to get $100 sent to you. And I'm convinced that
someone would have missed it.
A lot of people would have missed it because they've already made their mind up and aren't actually listening, which, by the way, you'll hear what John Sherman had to say this morning. Look, I think there's still a lot of questions. I don't think he answered any new questions. He just gave a little bit better of a timeline of now when the next step is going to occur, right? It mentions in the letter, in the next 30 days, we plan to share an overview of the ballpark district, including the broad benefits of the two sites under consideration. Of course, the one in Jackson County, one in Clay County. We are putting both sites through an equally rigorous process. We look forward to unveiling detailed renderings and many other components that will help us compare the broad benefits of both sites.
So those things are all fair. And you're right. I don't think anything new. Honestly, if I had to guess, I would tell you that I think what John Sherman was hoping in this letter was to make it clear the benefit of the investment he is making in the city, and that they are not asking for any more money than they are already getting from the city from a sales tax percentage. Like, you're giving us this money. It already exists. We're not asking for more. We're asking for the same. If we stayed at Kauffman, we'd be asking for it the same because it would need a renovation. Guess what? Arrowhead yesterday, when they said we need a 20, we think we can get 25 more years, we renovate it. They'll be asking for an extension of that sales tax. Everybody is asking to just keep what has already, status quo, right? But I think what he really wants people to realize is that I'm investing $1 billion, which is a massive investment. I presume one of the larger private investments this city's ever had. Probably the biggest. I don't know.
I'm guessing it's the largest.
I don't know. Maybe it's some mafia boss who, in dollars and cents, built something I didn't know about back in the 20s. But my guess is that it's probably the single largest. But it's always hard because nobody ever cares about the money you are giving. What they care about is the money that you want. To me, this was just emphasizing his commitment to Kansas City, and that's what he wants to be the message. I still think that maybe they're searching for the one what we are about. And what he wants it to be about, I think, now going forward is, I'm Kansas City, and I want to be Kansas City. I want to do this for the good of the city. Please, trust me when I tell you that everything I'm asking for is for the good of the city. Look at the economic benefit. Look at this. Look at that. He's trying to pitch it like, I'm telling you, this is what moves our city forward, which I actually don't think is the worst messaging of the ones that they've tried out. It's one of the better ones. We just don't know anything more, and you can't move anybody off the fence until you can get the Chiefs on board, or until you tell us which site the stadium's going to be on.
Yeah, and I think back to a couple weeks ago when he had his little media roundtable, although it ended up not really being a full roundtable, but you get the point. A little town hall, I guess, is the right word to use. And he was talking, people freaked out when he's like, when I sell the team one day, and people took that as if he was going to get the ballpark and sell it. What he meant by it, and I think was re-emphasized this morning when he joined Bob and Josh, was that no, getting a stadium helps secure the future, that whenever that day comes and I do sell the team, not that he's selling anytime soon.
No, and that's where that messaging got kind of confusing.
But that one day, hopefully it's someone from the current ownership group. He even kind of said that. But if it is from an outside influence, well, you've got a long-term lease, you've got this beautiful facility, you've got this already tied in to make it very difficult to ever take the Royals out of Kansas City. And I think that was important. Why did you release the letter today? This is what John Sherman said when he was on with Bob and Josh.
I think I would just say that in our commitment to be as transparent as possible in our process here, we really wanted to update our fans and the community with the things that we can about the process. And we have, I would say we're entering a, fairly critical period in our process. We've done a lot of work. We're very close to having some more enhanced renderings, some better descriptions of the potential district around the ballpark, and also the specific, I would say more specific economic impact. So really just wanted to give our fans a heads up, let them know what I'm thinking about, which is, obviously, I'm thinking about a lot of other things, and certainly how we get this team where we want it as well.
That last part there we'll get to in a second, because that's actually how the letter started. It got into the stadium stuff, the fifth paragraph down in the letter, but it starts talking more about the history behind the franchise and, quote, "We're intensely committed to restoring the Royals to their rightful place in Major League Baseball. We will do what's necessary to see that through." And look, that's something that
probably comes from Mike Carrington's question, which is
you're going to have to prove it, and I understand that, right? The results, therefore, going out and spending money on the team, and I think it's not just, hey, ballpark district, we'll get some more revenue, we'll go and put some more money in the team. I think also it's going to be very important that this upcoming offseason that they go out and do that very thing as well to earn some trust as well from this baseball team, from this ownership group. Now, what's the biggest holdup throughout all this? Because we've talked about the messaging. We've talked about a month and a half ago, the Star article saying city leaders were frustrated. This is what John Sherman said this morning on Festival in the Morning about the biggest holdup in this entire stadium process.
They are complicated processes, and, we had if you think about Jackson County, both in the county and the city, we had elections that, we had to get through and, to clear the path for the public officials that we're working with, so that's part of it. But I would just say, in general, these are complicated projects, right? Multi-party, multi-jurisdiction, public-private. I'm actually in New York, had a meeting at the commissioner's office yesterday. We got different things going on around we got a couple of franchises that are working on things like this, and they've been working at it for a long time. So I think the lesson that I'm feeling from that is, look, there's a lot of people you got to rally around this and get to coalesce around it, but you have to have a sense of urgency and kind of run to daylight when you can, because the sooner we can get this thing rolling, the sooner our community and the team and the fans will benefit from this project being in place. Not only ensuring that the team is capable of competing and thriving long term, but that all the economic benefits and community impact that will come from a project like this. The sooner we can get to work on that, the quicker our citizens will benefit from it.
I mean, when you listen to that, and I understand, you're waiting on a county. This is one of those, who do you choose to believe, Gold? Because they're both saying it's the other party. They're both saying, no, it's that guy that is the problem. And obviously, that's when those things lay blame. Truthfully, it's probably a little bit of both. I think the Royals are keeping some closely guarded secrets because they are in a business negotiation with a county, and another county is sitting there behind them. So if you give the one county all your cards, then you probably don't have quite the negotiating power as you would, even though they've made it clear that they're doing this. Because I told you, one of the things that even now I still feel like the city has promised a certain amount of infrastructure improvement.
Right.
Do the Royals want a little bit more, right? Do they want that? Because if it's not that, then who cares? They want the East Village location. They want a continuation of the sales tax. That's the biggest bullet points that Jackson County kind of needs to know about, whether or not they're going to put this on the stadium ballot, and kind of what the Chiefs want to do. But to me, at this point, the biggest holdup is just deciding a site. Once you decide a site, then I think it's easier for the Royals to decide on their messaging, put out their renderings, put the people behind it they want to put behind it, all that stuff.
And it mentions in the letter, in the next 30 days, or in about 30 days, we're going to get renderings for both sites, which, at one point in time, I'll be honest, I thought we would probably only see that for one. I'm actually kind of glad, even though I'm way more for the East Village site because it's actually downtown. But I am curious to see what would a North Kansas City neighborhood-esque Wrigleyville site look like in Clay County. And to your point about leverage, Clay County, it's to me overall probably a leverage play that the Royals are using them a little bit, but publicly they're going to, of course, take it very, very seriously. And I think it is if things were to fall apart, as we've talked about. And if you look at the messaging over the last couple months, I still think every indication is that their preference still is the original East Village location.
I don't even think they're hiding that at this point, do you?
John Sherman said at that little town hall, though, that basically they're much further along with Jackson County and the East Village site than they ever have been with the Clay County site.
That's just because that was the original plan, Gold. You and I both know that. That was always the plan. And then when these hiccups start coming into place, a la Sporting KC, then you start exploring other options. And all of a sudden you're like, maybe it could be like Wrigleyville, and they're making an interesting pitch, and let's hear them out. I think you and I both know that in the end, if they had their choice and all money was created equal, they would choose downtown.
We'll get back into this a little bit later on, some more what John Sherman had to say when he joined Fesco in the morning and he penned that letter. And someone said, Gold, why aren't you reading the entire letter? I'm not going to read the entire letter.
On radio?
On the radio. I'm not going to do that.
Boo.
Not going to read that. That's not what I'm going to do. Does
anybody want that?
I have read the letter, but I'm not going to read it to you. I think we can all read it ourselves. And hopefully you caught the interview.
Hey, man, what if someone's illiterate or can't read? Then they would have listened to this radio and never gotten it.
Well, they just heard some audio from what John Sherman had to say.
All right.
That's what I would say to that.
I'm just saying you could be inclusive.
Do you want to record after the show? Do you want to record a private reading of the John Sherman letter?
And I'll put it up on the podcast page. That way, if you need the John Sherman letter read to you in audio format, I can provide that service for you. I'll put it on Spotify.
We'll get to Q's coming up. Maybe we should have Quentin just read the letter. We'll get to Q's coming up in just a little bit. We're continuing to broadcast from Chiefs training camp. We are inside the Ag Power broadcast tent. Expected to have George Karlaftis here from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Jerick McKinnon coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. And with Kadarius Toney not here and out for who knows how long, hopefully some clarity coming from Andy Reid, we've been talking about the wide receiver room opportunity. Rashee Rice, Sky Moore, Richie James. But we know they're keeping 4 tight ends. That's a no-brainer.
Lock. Yeah.
Kelsey's Kelsey. But then you got Noah Gray. You got Blake Bell still around. We know about Jody Fortson, if he can stay healthy in the red zone opportunities. Pete yesterday, and he'll join us later, mentioned Noah
Gray guy.
Yeah, he's a big fan of Noah Gray. And is there a chance that they utilize the number 2 tight end more? The only reason why I buy into it actually a little bit is not so much that Kadarius Toney could be out. It's that, Cody, I know you and I differ on the overall how many years can Kelsey keep playing at this level. But I do think to help keep Kelsey fresh, I do think you need to get Noah Gray a little bit more involved in this offense to make sure that Kelsey is there in the most important games and in the postseason. Travis did admit on his latest podcast, New Heights podcast, that last year was the most that he felt it. The recovery took a little longer. With that said, he didn't miss a damn game because he's Travis Kelsey and he's a future Hall of Famer and going to go down as the greatest tight end of all time. But that's to me where Noah Gray's interesting. One, I know Andy Reid creativity can make that work. But I think it could help Travis Kelsey extend his career.
I think so, too. And I'm telling you right now, I'm with Pete. I'm fully aboard the Noah Gray train. I don't understand why we can't. We talk about the growth of so many players. He went from a non-existent tight end in year 1, right? Just blocked, showed up, didn't really catch much, had like 100 yards, to a 299-yard wide receiver just last year, in a year where there was a lot more to spread around. And he has, in my opinion, even less top-end competition this year, with even more motivation to take some of the heat off of Travis Kelsey this year. I'm not, as much as we've talked about how many guys like, is Sky Moore going to be a 400-yard receiver, or can Rashee Rice be a 400-yard receiver? I think Noah Gray is a 450-yard wide receiver for this team, which essentially makes him the 6th option, the 5th option on this team based on last year. Who would have had more than that last year? Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelsey, Jerick McKinnon, MVS.
Yeah.
Is that it? It would probably put him right in that same range, right? Where he's option 5, he's option 6. And the fact that they've been telling you they're going to this for years. They're the only team in the NFL really keeping 4 tight ends. They ran more 2 tight end sets than any team in the NFL last year. They have been working towards this for years, and now they probably trust Noah Gray more than they have in years.
But this year you have to, if it's going to happen, it's got to be this year, though. You know what I mean? Because when we were up here Noah Gray's rookie year, and there was plenty of hype, the Chiefs loved the guy, and it just, it just wasn't there, okay? The playing time wasn't there.
No, he just didn't get on the field.
His rookie year, 2021, played in 16 games, had 10 targets, okay? Last year, played in 17 games, 8 starts, 34 targets, 299 yards. So in his career, he has 335. So
yeah, but Kadarius Toney's career is 600.
I understand. Yeah, but if we're comparing who do we think could be, if take the health risk out, you're not.
But I'm just saying,
career
yardage isn't going to tell the story on him. I don't think, because There's no opportunity.
Well, I think it will, though, be like he's been in the offense for 2 full years.
Yeah.
Though. Like, to me, it's a little more – I lean into that number more. He's had 2 years to get into it. It has to happen this year if it's going to happen for Noah Gray.
That's probably fair because I would normally put that at any wide receiver. We would have said that going into year 3 for McCole Hardman. By that same standard, shouldn't we say that for Kadarius Toney this year? Like, if he doesn't become like a number 2 or number 1 wide receiver this year, then what are we even talking about?
Well, yeah.
What am I going to say?
One way or
year 4 it's going to happen?
One way or the other.
Okay.
One way or the other for Toney. It's either he's going to be healthier than we all think, which is hard to imagine right now with him already being hurt, and has a great year, or I think most likely the setback and holdup is going to be, well, he only played in 9 games, and he had 500 yards or 400 yards.
Yeah.
You know, something like that, is potentially what we could be saying if Toney's not going to be as available as we all had hoped. But Noah Gray, hopefully we have a chance maybe while we're up at camp to talk to him. I do think this is a great opportunity this year for him to break out.
There's no top-end competition, which means you can comfortably lay in the cut of this offense and have 400 yards. Just hang out. And honestly, you do realize, right, that if he became like a 4 or 450-yard wide receiver, that's what a lot of teams get out of their best tight end. Like, I know that sounds silly, but that's what most teams get out of, like, the bottom-end teams, right? The teams that don't have a good tight end. But it's like you could start to believe that there's actual ability or hope or faith that they've got, like, a decent option in the post-Travis Kelce era because we'll be like, okay, maybe we'll just be like every other team. And we'll have a 650-yard tight end once Travis Kelce's gone, and there's 1 million targets left to be spread out. Because if he gets to 450 or 500 yards this year, I will start thinking Noah Gray is an acceptable option in the post-Travis Kelce playing era because I can't replace Travis Kelce. That's actually impossible.
Well, and Travis lines up at wide receiver so much anyway because how can you really get 1,600 or 1,700 yards out of your tight end position? You know what I mean? And that's what you would be potentially asking for. But Travis lines up at wide receiver so much as well. I'm smirking a little bit if you're watching on the stream because the defensive linemen are in front of us. And if you guys recall, one of my favorite moments at camp last year was day 1 of Danny Shelton showing up where he had pads or a jersey way too small.
He was number 92.
He's 71. And I don't think it's just that they got him the right size jersey. I think our guy Danny Shelton
slimmed up a
little. Slimmed down a little bit. I think working in the I think he's slimmed down a little bit. Maybe a little more agile. Maybe a little more available. Cody's going to flip the camera around for 5 seconds before they shut us down. But well, right now you're just showing his rear end. I mean, you got to wait for him to stand up.
Okay,
he's got to stand up. There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
Get a shot.
Danny Shelton. Danny Shelton slimmed down. Good for him. All right, let's get to Q's.
It's like Mariano Rivera.
What is this? You're running out of the. You're running out of the
Metallica's Sandman.
I know, but it's like an intro. I mean, it really is.
I like it. He
intro.
chose some music for himself.
This is like one of my favorite songs.
Okay. All right, Q.
Okay, so this story, I think Sandman is an appropriate song for this story.
Okay.
This song is, you've heard about Cocaine Bear.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But have you heard about Cocaine Shark?
No. I have not.
So there's a story coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, specifically off of Florida, because of course it's Florida, about sharks that are eating bagged cocaine that have fallen off of smugglers' boats.
Oh, someone's going to lose their life, and I don't mean from the shark.
So smugglers are dropping cocaine off in international waters so then it can be smuggled into the United States. While there has been no shark officially autopsied to prove the ingestion of the fun powder, a study by students at the University of Florida did drop empty packages that made it look like they were cocaine bags, and the sharks came up and ate it.
Oh, my God. Okay, so first off, I understand research is important in this world. Is there any reason why we're paying some dumb college kids to dump fake cocaine bags into a pool to see if a shark will eat it? Is there not like cancer or something we could be sending these kids to work on? What is this project? This is like the weirdest version of the science fair I've ever heard of. What is the point of this exercise? To find out if there are coked up sharks in the ocean?
We want to find out what it does to sharks.
I don't care what cocaine
like
does
anything
to
else,
sharks.
Like testing, anything. They want to find out what does it do? Does it?
I don't want to. I don't want to know what cocaine does to sharks. That sounds terrifying.
Well, you mentioned Q about Cocaine Bear and all that. You know now for sure, it guarantees there will be a cocaine shark.
I don't know, man. They already got big shark movies. Deep Blue Sea, The Meg. They already got big Jaws. There's already big shark movies.
Sharknado.
Yeah, do you really need another shark
That's
movie?
actually what this is already. This is how the sharks in Sharknado acted.
What would be a better movie, Cocaine Bear or Cocaine Shark?
I never saw Cocaine Bear. So
Cocaine Bear is very dumb, but
Really?
also super fun.
Okay.
So I don't think it's going to beat out Cocaine Bear. That seems almost impossible.
Someone says Cody needs to get his economics right. He said earlier in the show, $900 rent, and he says grad students are getting paid.
We pay our intern Quentin. Q's is a paid. He's paid to do this segment. He's paid to prepare for this topic.
Yeah, my Google search history now has a Cocaine Shark involved in it, so that's fantastic.
Those are Q's as we're
Look at it as a
live.
positive.
Live in St. Joe at Chiefs Training Camp, brought to you by Max Motors. Worth the drive from anywhere. MaxMotors.com. I saw you pulled up. And
Dude,
Chiefs
fantastic
Ford
ride.
F-150. Nice and smooth right up to Chiefs Training Camp. We appreciate our friends down at Max Ford for hooking us up.
I didn't even have to put the equipment in the back and in the trunk.
Oh.
It all fits in the back seat.
Yeah. Oh,
My
there's
kids
plenty
can
of room.
full-blown stand back there.
I did
they just
notice.
walk from side to side.
I did notice you got the car seats in there.
Well, because I got to go
we're-
pick up the kids right when I leave camp, so they got to ride in the truck.
Now, we're rotating, so in a couple weeks I'm driving it. The car seat, am I going to find Cheerios on
No,
the floor?
I made a no food rule for the
Thank
kids.
you. I appreciate it.
I made a no food rule for the kids.
I
feel
appreciate
like
it.
that's the only way to play it.
I appreciate it.
You know, brand new truck, looking pristine.
Okay.
You're getting it in a couple of weeks. I didn't want to do it to you.
I appreciate that. All right, coming up next, we'll continue broadcasting here from Chiefs Training Camp. Expected to have George KARLAFTIS here from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Jarek McKinnon, all coming up next here on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold.
The facts on this show are irrelevant.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete.
Remember, you have a Centric read after the sweeper.
Parking lot maintenance. Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor. All things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Look, if you've been listening to the show, there's times where you can tell, like, when it comes to technology, I think we're both pretty passionate. Cody's into
Absolutely.
the camera setup. And what if you wanted to find a career in technology or AI, but you don't know how to get started? You don't know how long is that going to take me. What if I told you at Centric you can get a new career in IT in as little as 4 months? You just got to go to centric.com/610.
They have classes starting at the end of this month. They'll have new classes starting at the end of August. You know you can get in these programs, so you can start that career. I'm not going to lie to you. My nephew graduated from it. He's got a career in IT he really loves. And I think that you can see how quickly it can change someone's life. Look, sometimes I think about taking a class just so I could learn this camera setup without having to try to figure it out all the time. If you love IT, you understand why they do that. Because they've got financing options available, or you can use that GI Bill, having that new career at your fingertips is so easy at centric.com/610.
Yeah, just talk to our buddy Russ. He will take care of you. He'll answer all your questions. Again, they can put together a schedule that makes this work for you. If you need to take evening classes, if you need to take classes remotely, they got all kinds of options for you. You just got to go to centric.com/610.
Hey, it's Josh Klingler. I love Hy-Vee for a number of reasons, including when Hy-Vee makes it simple and saves me money. And they do just that with Hy-Vee's Red Hot Taco Tuesday family meal deal. Hey, everyone at our place loves tacos, so how about for just $10, I get a 1-pound pack of ground beef, taco seasoning, shredded cheddar, and a 10-count pack of tortillas. Just for $10.
Hey, just a heads up,
it's
Q,
Taco Tuesday time
I
at
think you went over the
Hy-Vee.
air.
See, simple,
I heard you
saves
say
you money,
Centric.
family meals all planned out.
heads up,
Only at Hy-Vee.
Tax-free weekend is twice as nice this year with help from Hy-Vee. This weekend,
Okay, my mic's off.
retail gift cards.
Yeah, the press conference is getting ready to start. At least the timer's done, so they're going to come up any minute.
The more you spend, the more you save. Use those gift cards to shop during Missouri's tax-free weekend and enjoy double the discount with your next fill-up. Save on gas while you save on tax. July 28th to 30th only at Hy-Vee. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
American Topsoil, serving the Kansas City area for over 30 years. Locally owned, fourth-generation family business. With us is owner James Priggle and Josiah. Josiah, tell us about some of the...
Okay, I assume you'd want to talk to KARLAFTIS first, finish that, then I can roll the press conference.
On a newly poured patio or driveway, our most popular service is helping homeowners preserve the life of their home by placing soil around their foundation using our power wheelbarrow service.
James, tell us more about this.
Okay, I've got the press conference. I've got the YouTube page pulled up on my main computer here, so I can run it as soon as they come up. But I've got the computer turned off on the board, so I know when as soon as it starts.
Water puddling or coming into your
stretching right
basement,
now, so
you
it'll be a
probably
couple
need topsoil.
And where do people need to go to learn more about American Topsoil?
You can visit us online at americantopsoil.com. There's videos on there, and there's an online order form.
One name to remember in Kansas City if you need topsoil. American Topsoil. Online at americantopsoil.com.
Tailgates and turkey, yes please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey is always a winner. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot.
It's too hot to cook. Make it easy with Old Shawnee Pizza and their Tuesday special. Any single topping pizza is just $12.99. That's right, only $12.99. Call or go to OldShawneePizza.com to order. Old Shawnee Pizza. 2 locations, Shawnee and Lenexa.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands to treat ED at up to 95% off. That's right, the same active ingredient as the brand name for 95% less. It's the same ED medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Hey guys, I'm talking to you from right here. Now's the perfect time to take the family planning into your hands and make things easier on your wife or partner. Book your vasectomy now at KCUC. Now, I had mine last year, and I'm in the clear now. The whole process of getting a vasectomy takes less than a week. I went into KCUC, the procedure itself is about 30 minutes long, and then I was back on the couch at home for a few days resting up, and not long after, I was back into my normal routine. So book your vasectomy now at KCUC. KCUC's doctors are opening up their schedules for more slots for vasectomies. With 15 locations in the KC Metro and 11 more around Kansas and Missouri, there's a KCUC close to you. Now's the time to book your vasectomy. So call 913-348-8264 or just go to kcuc.com for more information and to book your appointment. At KCUC, you see the best in KC. You're all set with your new Navien water heater.
I can't wait to take a shower without running out of hot water. I'm just gonna love my Navien tankless water heater. I just want to say
Oh, no need to say that, ma'am. You'll always love Navien's high efficiency that will save you money on gas bills compared to other water heaters.
I love how I have more space with its wall-hanging design. Please let me say
Nope, sorry, miss. I know you appreciate it, but I can't let you say it.
Why not?
Because with Navien, it's a tankless job.
How long you been waiting to use that?
You'd be surprised.
Find a Navien installer near you at tanklessmadesimple.com.
Keeping your kids safe is a full-time job. Whether it's putting on outlet covers, installing child gates, or gluing down your priceless vase. So Duracell made one part of childproofing simple.
Okay.
Lithium coin batteries are the only ones coated in a non-toxic bitterant to help discourage swallowing. Your kid is safer, and you've got one less thing to worry about. Or glue down. Duracell, engineered for more. Available in 2032, 2025,
17 seconds.
16 sizes.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios.
Hey, this is Chris Jones, and you're listening to the official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app.
11 o'clock hour, Cody and Gold live at Chiefs training camp here in a couple minutes. Expected to be joined by George KARLAFTIS exclusively here on 610 Sports Radio. Also hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Jerick McKinnon. Another day of practice wrapping up. And just a reminder, still not in pads yet, but we'll hear from Andy and hopefully get a little more insight. We'll see how much they're willing to share on the Kadarius Toney injury that had everybody talking, and certainly during our show yesterday when Travis Kelce mentioned maybe a little bit more than the Chiefs would have liked when it comes to just how severe the injury is for Kadarius Toney. But as we broadcast up here in St. Joe. Our training camp coverage is brought to you by the St. Joseph Convention and Visitors Bureau. Be a part of history by attending Chiefs training camp. Learn more at stjomo.com. Practice just wrapped up in the last 60 seconds or so. They started to separate a little bit, so we should have KARLAFTIS and some of the media availability coming up in the next couple of minutes. And certainly when George is walking this way, we will let you guys know. Cody already, though, headed over to Kona Ice. That's why he's not on the mic. Oh, he is back. What do we get? We have a little red and blue. Is that a tiger blood flavor? And maybe a pina colada? I'm not sure, but we've got the snow cone, so when KARLAFTIS comes, he takes it. Do you think the fact that you put it in the cooler is going to concern him? He's going to wonder why we just had a snow cone waiting in a cooler versus if he saw it made over there. Do you think
I felt like it's easier to just get it now than it is then, and the cooler will keep it cold enough that hopefully it won't, a little more insulated and protected. I kind of thought maybe that would convince him that it was a safe bet. That's all.
Yeah, you missed it too. Q is clearly just playing the best of Guitar Hero. He must be a Guitar Hero
what was the song this
and
time?
rock band between
Sweet Child of Mine, Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, I mean it just.
You're an old soul, man.
I think he is.
You're an old soul.
Here's the insight. Okay, I know for 100% fact none of these songs that I play have cuss words because I've listened to them my entire life.
Yeah, you're pretty safe there.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
You got to look for those radio edits,
No FCC violations on this end.
I did play one time. I played like a clip and I forgot to edit out like a F-bomb or something once, but that's about the worst I've done from the song.
Well, that's actually
that's why we have a delay.
That's right. It's good Quinn mentioned that. I don't think KARLAFTIS we're gonna have to worry about that, but just in case, man, be ready. You never know. He doesn't strike me as the player that we'll have to be most concerned about when it comes to the old dump button. I think we'll be all right. As currently in front of us, some fans gathering. Keeping an eye on Trent McDuffie, L'Jarius Sneed, getting a little extra work in on the side with one of the coaches right in front of us. Last year, I think one of our first guests was rookie at the time, Trent McDuffie.
Really good, and obviously a big year because you and I both think he has all-pro talent. Now, it's tough to be an all-pro in the AFC because Sauce Gardner exists.
Yes.
First-team all-pro, that is, because Sauce Gardner exists, and everybody universally sees him as the best, if not one of the best, defensive backs in the entire NFL. So that may hurt yourself.
Andy Reid's live.
But at least, from there, we'll figure it out.
All right, let's go out to the podium and hear from Andy Reid right here on 610 Sports Radio.
Everybody set up back there? All right, as far as injuries go, Kadarius had surgery on his knee this morning for cartilage, and it should be relatively quick as we go here. He wanted to get that thing taken care of. And then Wharton is still on PUP. Isaiah Moore had a little knee inflammation, but did some stuff this morning. A shout out to LeBron and Junior, just that he's okay as we go here. I mean, that's a tough deal that he's going through right now. On the football side, it was good work today. The guys, they're challenging each other. We were able to put the shells on today, and then the practice kicked up to an hour and 55 minutes. So we're continuing to ramp up here. We'll take a little step back once we get into pads on Friday, but for these next today and tomorrow, it'll be that hour and 55-minute practice with shells. So, but I like the tempo. I like the challenge that the guys are doing. You're getting a good offensive play, good defensive play, offensive play, defensive play, and so they're busting their tail with each other and still taking care of business. All right, well, that time's yours. I mean, there's a chance. There's a chance for the first game, but we'll see. We'll just have to see how the recovery goes with him. But I mean, he's bound and determined he's going to be there for the first game. We'll see how it goes.
Does this change your thought on using him on special teams at all?
Now let's see how he does. Let's see how the rehab part goes, and if you have to have a surgery, I think we caught it at a good time. It looked like it was good when they were in there, all of that. So as long as the recovery goes well, I'm pulling for him there, in a positive way. So.
You guys have big plans for him on offense heading into the year. How much can this really change, considering you had your scheming out and such as you go? Or is that possible?
Yeah, listen, I look at it the other. I go, I'm glad they caught it. That it happened this early, where he can get himself back, and we've got a lot of time still left. He's a smart kid, so he picks his stuff up fairly easy. I don't think he's going to have a tough time getting back in. It's just getting back into football shape. Yeah. No. He was it the year before when he was with the Giants? Yeah.
And then
Yeah, Rick will take care of the tempo on that. So he'll, he and his people there do a good job with that. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think getting it done now is a good thing, as opposed to it lingering and then getting worse and worse. And I'm glad he got it knocked out and done. Yeah. Yeah, so the urgency picked up a little bit today with the shells on, and they'll pick up another notch with the pads on, and it looked like they picked it up a little bit today, and as long as they can do that, and you know, hang with the scheme that are taking place, I think they're going to be okay. I mean, they've been good players in the past, and they've got good tape, and so I think they're going to be okay. But they got to push through. There's a certain level that we expect them to be at. You know.
One more thing with Tony. What specifically happened on that play?
Yeah, really. I mean, it was part of his meniscus tore. So, you know, that's the way he turned. And, you know, he might have had a little something in there anyways, and it just, you know, it caught a little bit more. So, you know, you take care of those things, get them knocked out. Yeah, he's one you got to really watch, right? That guy, but he's doing good. He's 100 miles an hour on everything. You know, you got to tell him in walkthroughs. It's not full speed. You know, he's one of those guys. So it's good that he got a couple plays in.
Andy, what's been the key with McKinnon becoming who he's become after all he's been through, and what's he still do for you guys this way?
Yeah, well, he's smart. You know, he's a legitimate quarterback in college, and on a good team, and then he got in the league, and he had some productive years. Injuries got him there for a bit, and you know, we were lucky enough to get him here, and he's just he's solid. He's somebody that you trust, and everything he does, all phases of the game, so including special teams, he can do everything.
And at his age, at that position,
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, he's a dinosaur. I mean, when you're 9-10 years into that running back position that has a lifespan of 3 years, if you're lucky. I mean, it's a tribute to him and the way he takes care of himself.
Pacheco, one thing last year, he had the best stop rate in the league as far as getting stopped at 50 yards. It was a better rate than Kareem had in his offense, too. What gives him that trait? Because he seems to find yards and fall forward every time.
Yeah. And he could continue to work on that. He'll get better with that, just getting his pad level down. But he's got great feet and good vision, and then he runs extremely hard. And it's not the flashiest thing you've seen. It's so productive though, and that effort. And you see it everywhere. You see it in practice. You see it everywhere. He keeps that same speed.
All right, that's Andy Reid here at Chiefs training camp. Andy Reid's press conference sponsored by Technology Group Solutions, the official IT technology partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Q, we'll go ahead and pot that down back in the studio.
See. We have some competition back there. We'll just see how it goes. I don't want to slight anybody out of it.
Thanks, Quinn. We're joined here in just a second by George KARLAFTIS. That's what I wanted to cut out of Andy Reid there. Obviously, Andy talking about the health of Kadarius Toney, mentioning that Toney did have surgery on his knee this morning. Said there's a chance when it comes to his status for Week 1. That's something everybody's going to have to monitor. We'll talk a little bit more about Kadarius Toney coming up a little bit later. But we're excited to be joined here after practice exclusively on 610 Sports Radio by a guy we had on last year. That time he was just a rookie. Second year now, maybe the guy teaching guys a little bit. George KARLAFTIS with us here on 610 Sports Radio. Good to have you, man. How things going so far? I know you're not in pads yet.
Yeah, feels like forever ago that I was on the show, but feels great. You know, being out here, not being a rookie anymore, knowing what's expected, knowing what the deal is, it's been great.
Apologies, by the way. That chair is garbage.
It's awful.
It's uncomfortable. It's awful.
I got you a snow cone, though, if you want it. We normally give them to Chris, but he's not here right now, as we know. But we normally give them to the player who's here as well. So I went with cherry and blue raspberry. I figured those are pretty safe flavors.
Oh, safe.
Yeah, there's almost no issue with it.
We can get to football in just a little bit, but we got to ask you, everybody's talking about Barbie and Oppenheimer. So I don't know if the team at some point is going to see it. Have you seen it yet? And are you planning on seeing either?
No. I'm not saying
No.
Not
No?
saying
Not a
any of
movie
them.
guy?
No. Not those movies.
What movies? Like Mission Impossible or what?
No, I like sports movies and comedies.
Okay.
Okay.
So what's the last? What's the one that stands out maybe in the last year or two? What sport movie or comedy? Comedies have been weak, I feel like, the last 5 to 7 years.
I like Adam Sandler, so basically anything he makes. There's been some good ones. You know what? I don't usually like those types of movies, but I liked Avatar. Avatar was pretty good.
Avatar? I didn't see the first one, so I feel like now I'm like 7+ hours in if I'm going to commit to watching it.
You're
like
missing
too
out.
late.
So I saw the original, but I haven't seen the new one. But you're saying if I saw the original, will I like the new one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was solid.
So last year, one of the things that we noticed immediately at camp was how much you and Frank were working here on the side. So then our immediate question was, okay, so is George going to work with someone else, or who becomes that veteran, right? Who becomes the guy who works with Enrique Uzama? Who becomes the player who spends these extra minutes working on those technique things?
I think something that you'll notice is that we're all kind of working. We get together for maybe about 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes all together as a D-line, and we'll work pass rush moves and stuff like that after practice with our assistant D-line coach, Terry Braden, and that's been great. You know, we get everybody involved, and we just try to get better as a unit.
I know a lot of people say, like, I don't set goals for myself. Pass rusher feels like maybe the easiest one to do it for.
Yeah.
Because you can just say, I want X number of sacks. Do you try not to do
That's
that?
not what it's about, though. That's not what it's about. Yeah, the sacks are cool and all that stuff, but that's not really what it's about. You know, when you experience winning a Super Bowl, I mean, there's no. It puts it into the grasp of reality that, like, you know, sacks and all that stuff is cool, but winning is so much better. You know, obviously you want the sacks because you want to help your team out, but winning is just a whole lot better than all that stuff.
When do you feel like it clicked for you last year? Because, we were sitting here up at camp. You were still a rookie. And then it felt like, you can tell me if we're wrong, it felt like, I don't know, maybe week 9 or so, you looked like a different player. Maybe you disagree with that. But when did it kind of click for you?
I think the bye week helped me out a lot. You know, so I think about around that time that you were saying, you know, I felt like I had a solid game against San Fran. Then that kind of that week off, you know, and that game week, you know, you set I don't know, you sit back and you relax and you kind of take a deep breath and see what's going on and see where you can improve and you self-reflect and I feel like that's where stuff started to change for me.
How do you build off of last year? Because I think we saw some video in the offseason. You worked with former Chief Tamba Hali, right? Is that right? What was that? How did you get in touch with him? Did he reach out to you? How did that all get set up and what were you guys doing?
Yeah, you know, we have a great player engagement director in Ramsey Robinson. You know, Bino is my guy, shout out. But, you know, he knows my goals. He knows what my drive is and all that stuff. So he's like, hey, you know, I was sitting with Tamba and I told him about you. And, you know, if I feel like I should give you his number and you could reach out. He said it was cool. And that's kind of how that started. And, you know, been blessed and really, really fortunate to work with him and learn from him. He's been just a great role model, great mentor, and has really taught me a lot.
So you're a big, like, I'll find anyone who can teach me something guy. That seemed like between Clark or Tamba. Do you find other veteran NFL players who play on other teams too? You're like, anyone who show me something?
As much as I can, yeah.
Last year, so you were a rookie. I know you had a roommate. Did you get your own place this year, or you still have a roommate?
A roommate in what?
At camp.
Everybody's got
even Pat?
See, you don't believe this.
I have a hard time imagining they make Patrick Mahomes share a room.
It's old school camp.
It's not. You're not sharing a room. It's everybody's got their own room.
But you have a common area.
But yeah, and then you got the what's it called, Jack and Jill bathroom or whatever.
Okay.
So everybody technically has and doesn't have a roommate.
So who's your roommate this year?
Chris Williams.
Chris Williams. Okay. So were you guys roommates? I guess not last year.
No, Leo and I were roommates last year.
Okay, so what made you choose Chris? Do you guys get a decision or just show up and it's a piece of paper?
You just show up.
That's it? I feel like a veteran at some point you get to pick.
Well, I'm not a veteran.
You sign a contract extension at some point, then you get to say, I'd like this person to be my roommate?
We'll see.
How come you don't feel like a veteran yet? You don't treat yourself that way after a year? Or when's that kick in? 2, 3, 4 years down the road?
I don't know. I don't know when that kicks in, but there's a lot more I want to accomplish, both as an individual and as a team. And you know, I think for me, it's always that my girlfriend got me this book when I was 17 years old called Ego is the Enemy. And I think I think it's really important. Just you don't view yourself as ego. You always try to be humble, and that's really important to me. So I view yourself as a veteran, whatever. I don't that pride, that ego stuff. It isn't for me. So
we know which nickname stuck for you last year. But our old producer, who's now quit, by the way, so you don't even have to feel bad. He's not on the other air. He was trying to get a nickname to stick for you of Georgie Porgy Pudding Pie.
Nope.
Did you ever hear it?
Hey,
I'd never heard that. I know the song. I hate that song.
Okay, so you hate the nickname as well.
Yeah.
You would like that to never stick.
I'm so glad to finally hear that. I tried to convince him last year that it's terrible and there's no way that you would like that nickname. And he tried to put there was T-shirts made.
The connotation behind the song itself is kiss the girls and make them cry. That,
yeah.
That almost sounds like you get a little bit in trouble.
Honestly, I'm impressed you've even heard the song. I mean, I know your name's George, but
not too many people are called George, so.
Fair enough. Now we know the conditioning test was on Saturday. I'll be honest, that just sounds miserable. It sounds horrific. Walk us through.
Yeah,
and how do you think would we make it? We would fail. We obviously know that, but
I don't know what kind of shape you're in, man.
Look at us. We're radio guys.
Terrible.
If you're in good aerobic shape, if you could run a little bit, if you run every day.
No chance.
Yeah, then maybe you could make it, but you got to be in good shape. It'll be evident who's been training and who hasn't after that test.
I think so much has changed just from your perspective. You grew up in a world where sports were just you trained every day no matter your age. I feel like that would have mattered more. And I still get there's levels of shape, but anymore everyone trains 12 months out of the year. This is their full-time job. This isn't
Yeah, you take about a month off, but yeah.
I mean, it's not like the 30s, I guess, when these guys were in a car dealership at the time in between that. Spags had said that he thought you guys could be – your goal was to be a top 10 defense in efficiency. Now, look, that's a harder thing to measure than just points per game, but why do you think that that's plausible for this team?
Why I think it's plausible? Well, the efficiency category puts a lot of – he's pulled it up for us, and we've seen it a couple times. It puts a lot of the major categories and somehow combines them all into one score. And we're returning a lot of guys and a lot of starters. There's more of a confidence, more of a swagger, maybe even more of a trust between the coaches to us, because a lot of us were first-year starters last year. Now second-year starters, it's just that more gained trust. And we have a lot of guys that have played a lot of ball, and that usually happens with defenses. The more experience you get, a lot of times the better you get. So I think the sky's the limit. We got great leadership in all of our coaches on the field. Nick and Chris and everybody. So it's going to be great.
You feel like you're taking on a bigger role right now? Obviously Chris isn't here at this point, so it's just your second year, and we were joking about the whole veteran thing. But knowing that, who's kind of stepping up? Who stood out to even you as a player that's maybe filling that role right now?
Well, it's not. Chris is a hard guy to replace.
Sure.
It just when you have someone like that's not here right now, you got to have multiple guys to do it. So I feel like between Derek Nottie and Mike Dana and Charles a little bit and myself, guys that have played, because we have a lot of guys that just simply haven't played a lot. You try to get that leadership or try to fill that void as much as you can. So there's still a certain level of in a standard within the room. But that's set from Coach Cullen, really. That's who really sets it. But you got to have the players to go along with that.
How much easier does Chris Jones make your job when he's on the field?
A lot.
I feel like he takes 95% of the attention, maybe. I don't know.
Did you just say 95 because he's 95?
That's his number.
Is that what you did
No,
there?
I wasn't trying to. I'm just saying I feel like Chris Jones garners enough attention that generally speaking, you get to get the one-on-ones during those moments.
Yeah, I wouldn't say 95%.
No, I'm not.
Attention, but yeah, he allows us to do a lot of different things, and me typically playing next to him, for the vast majority of the time, it's awesome, because just like you said, he demands a double team a lot of the time, the slide for sure, and it's awesome playing with Chris.
Last one before we let you get out of here. Quarterback on Netflix, of course, been the #1 show on Netflix.
Oh, is it?
You saw a lot of that stuff already, so I don't know how much is new or not, but have you watched it, number one? And if anything, did anything stand out to you that maybe you didn't even realize being a teammate of his?
Quarterback, yeah, it was a good show. I watched it. Did anything stand out? I mean, we all know and we all respect the hell out of Pat. What he does is it's not gone unnoticed. We see him. He's one of the first people there, one of the last ones to leave. Just something that I was watching the show. I was even inspired. I was there with him, just watching him go through the injury in the playoffs. You know, I think it takes a lot of guts, man, and it shows what kind of competitor he is when you got a guy like that, and Coach Reed leading the ship is scary.
You been to his new crib? You have like a party over there or something? Housewarming?
I have not yet.
Okay. I'm just figuring out if you're getting the invite.
George, we appreciate it, man. Good to see you again.
Absolutely.
Back up here at camp and enjoy it. You polished off the snow cone awfully quick there.
Mm-hmm.
It's hot.
Well, yeah.
Got to hydrate.
There you go. George KARLAFTIS joining us here from Chiefs training camp. Appreciate you stopping by. There you go. We are broadcasting live here from Chiefs training camp, and of course, we are broadcasting from the Ag Power broadcast tent. Score big this year with your home team, John Deere dealer. Ag Power. Visit agpower.com for more information. Coming up next, though, we'll react a little bit to what George had to say. Also, get back into what Andy said when it comes to the injury status of Kadarius Toney. Next here on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold, live from the Chiefs practice field this summer. Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994.
I gotta play an Amber Alert, so if you hit dead air, that's what's happening.
Hey, it's Gold for my friends at Midwest Marine Boat Company and Yamaha Motors. I got some big news for you. You got to go out there with me this Saturday, July 29th at Midwest Marine Boat Company for their open house. 9 a.m. to 6 o'clock. It's the perfect opportunity for you to see their massive new showroom, number one. There's also going to be a drawing for Yamaha props, maintenance kits, and apparel. So let Midwest Marine Boat Company show you how Yamaha motor revs your heart. Plus, they're going to have free food and the best prices on boats around. This Saturday at Midwest Marine Boat Company. We take pride in your fun.
What does it mean to be the official information technology provider for the Chiefs? Everything. Technology Group Solutions makes sure everything runs flawlessly for the millions of fans that attend games and the hundreds of millions of fans that comprise Chiefs Kingdom around the world. Technology Group Solutions can deploy that same dedication, problem solving, and incredible service to ensure your business runs smoothly all day, every day, just like your Chiefs. Technology Group Solutions, powering Chiefs Kingdom and ready to do the same for you.
It's too hot to cook. Make it easy with Old Shawnee Pizza and their Tuesday special. Any single topping pizza is just $12.99. That's right, only $12.99. Call or go to OldShawneePizza.com to order. Old Shawnee Pizza. 2 locations, Shawnee and Lenexa.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and stop smoking without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Only $49.99 guaranteed. That's right. Don't just cut down, but stop smoking once and for all. Also, lose all the weight and let hypnosis destroy unwanted cravings, late day eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating, and lose the weight. Stop Smoking Seminar Wednesday, August 9th at the Wingate Hotel in Kansas City. Weight Loss Seminar 5:30 p.m. and Stop Smoking at 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com. Tailgates in turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC, turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com.
My friends at Window World asked me to tell you about a very special auction benefiting Action for Autism. Action for Autism is a Missouri organization that provides therapy and learning for kids ages 2 to 21 to help them prepare for a successful future. You can bid on a whole home renovation worth $40,000. To place your bid, go to the Kansas City Chiefs website or windowskc.com. The bidding starts at $15,000. The auction will close on July 27th, and it's so easy to register. The renovation package includes windows, exterior wrapped, insulated siding, gutters, doors, and much more. Every penny of the proceeds go to Action for Autism. You can make a donation. If you choose not to submit a bid, all you need to do is go to windowskc.com for all the details. 1 out of 68 children born today are diagnosed with autism, and you can make a difference in these kids' lives by making a bid or a donation at windowskc.com today.
Hey guys, Beat Up here, wrapping up week 7 of the Slim for Life program, this new journey that I'm on, and let me tell you, I'm down more weight. That's right, down 48 pounds in just 7 weeks. And I feel great. You deserve to feel good and have energy to do the things that you love. It's time to stop going at it alone and get the help you need. Do like I did. Make that call to my girl Leanne at the 119th and Metcalf location. She's helped me put this program together to take back control of my weight and my life. Seriously, it's a life-changing call. So set up that free consultation right now. And this week, it's half price week. All program services are half price. 1 week only, exclusive of products. So what are you waiting for? I know you're tired of that excess weight that you need to take off. So go ahead and make that call right now. 833-SLIM today. 833-754-6863. Or you can set it up online at slim4life.com and tell them B-Dub sent you.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay. Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
To start the season, spray away stress.
All right.
Get rid of grime. Clear the nerves. Do away with dirt and doubt. And lose the germs. For less worry and more wins. When you get to a clean slate, the possibilities are endless. Clorox. Start clean. Always use products as directed.
Shop end-of-season deals during the Truckload event at Lowe's. Right now, save on major appliances and get an additional 10% off in-store clearance appliances. Plus, take up to 50% off select patio furniture and accessories, and save on select grills and outdoor power equipment. Great deals are happening now, in-store and online. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 7/26. Exclusions apply. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for details.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year. Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer. Is this for real?
Apparently. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
Breezy this morning, warm, partly sunny, high 101.
Weather brought to you by Express Employment.
Are we going into the Chiefs Red Half Hour?
In your job search? With nearly 20,000 job openings, Express Employment professionals can help you take the next step in your career. Visit expresspros.com today.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Max Motors. 9 major vehicle brands to choose from. MaxMotors.com.
It's trade-up days at Max Motors dealerships. Get up to 130% off book value for your trade. Plus, huge savings on all new and pre-owned vehicles in stock. No payments for 90 days and finance options for everyone. Over 1,300 vehicles in stock.
MaxMotors.com.
Chiefs Red Half Hour, every day at 11:30 on Cody and Gold.
It is the Chiefs Red Half Hour live at Chiefs Training Camp. We're brought to you by Max Motors. Worth the drive from anywhere. MaxMotors.com. Our friends down at Max Ford in Harrisonville supplying us with our Ford F-150 for all our transportation needs this training camp. And camp first one for us at least this year wrapped up, Cody, about 25 minutes or so away. Thanks again, way ago, I should say. Appreciate George KARLAFTIS joining us. But right before George came on with us, of course, you heard from Andy Reid, and he gave us some more details, and actually gave us more detail than I thought after being asked a couple more questions, Cody. And, yeah, it's a partial tear of a meniscus in the knee. Surgery this morning to clean up cartilage, but also they decided to go ahead and do that when they saw that there was the tear as well. And now, based off of Andy Reid's answer, saying that when it comes to week one, quote, there's a chance, we'll see on Tony. I mean, camp is
that's a no.
Camp is definitely
Come on,
done.
That's a no.
That to me makes it extremely unlikely.
Don't you?
That Kadarius Toney's playing week one, because even if he's close, why would you push it? You know what I mean? No. Why would you? There's a 17-game schedule for a guy that has an injury history.
No, and what you really want out of him is health. Like, more than anything, you need the guy to be available. So if you rush him back from an injury before you need to, then you are running those kinds of risks. Now, you and I both said I think the beginning part of the schedule, I told you, benefited parts of the offense and their ability to get comfortable, because I don't think defensively it is the most challenging teams based on the way their schedule looks right now. But I wouldn't say at no point of their schedule is it easy, okay? But the Detroit Lions had one of the lower scoring defenses in the NFL last year, one of the worst secondaries. Now, We thought they might have lost a starting corner last year, but didn't. And we've talked about the other teams defensively and where they are, and I think that there's a chance they could take advantage of it. But there's no way to put this. This is bad because the Chiefs have pitched and have told you outright their number one wide receiver is Kadarius Toney, which means their number one wide receiver is likely to miss the start of the season now, in my opinion. And that is not good news for the Chiefs to start the year.
No doubt. Hopefully it's just one game, right? I mean, there is the only part that I do agree with is the notion that, like, hey, if it was going to happening on as much as we joke about, hey, he couldn't even get in pads yet. And
no, you'd rather it be
people want to make that joke. Happening now, it does give you 40-some-odd days to get it right and to where maybe it is limited to just one missed game at the beginning and it doesn't become 5 or 6 games. Hopefully he's there for the Jags game in week 2 on the road down in Jacksonville. But as far as what it means for the roster right now, I was talking to Pete about this, and Pete Sweeney will join us around 12:05. We were just speculating yesterday, doesn't mean an extra roster spot. Well, because he already practiced, he cannot be on the PUP list unless you want to have him. You can't, so it's not what we were discussing. The only
likely no. If you don't think he's going to miss more than 4 or less than 4 weeks,
you can put him on. If you're like, well, put him on IR. Well, you can't do that and not count a roster spot until after the final cutdown day. So he's counting on the roster. So I don't think it's, and I appreciate Pete giving us this insight. I don't think it's as simple as like, well, then Justin Ross automatically is the 6th or 7th wide receiver for this team. That number is still counting Kadarius Toney. So who steps up? I mean, I think we were talking about Noah Gray earlier as a tight end. I think Rashee Rice, Richie James, Sky Moore, obviously a golden opportunity.
For all of those players.
Not just to get reps out here in front of us at camp, but preseason for some of the younger guys. And, yes, right away maybe, week 1. You wonder in preseason now, are you even more cautious, though, with a guy like MVS? Are you more cautious?
I don't need to see more from him.
You know
I'm
what I mean?
good.
You know what I mean? MVS is probably one of those guys doesn't need to play during preseason now.
No, and I would tell you, but this is also.
I would like to see Richie James play a game or two only because he hasn't played in this offense, but he's familiar with the terminology with Mike Kafka up in New York, former, obviously, assistant with the Chiefs. So you got to be a little cautious with that as well. But that now at least gives us some more insight on really what happened with the knee yesterday. It wasn't, not yesterday, on Sunday. It clearly wasn't just a tweak.
This is going to be real judgment time on Sky Moore. Let's just, I mean, if anybody, we've talked about the opportunity, but of the players we are going to judge the harshest, let's just say Toney misses 2 games. Let's be optimist. I think that's optimistic. I'm not going to lie. He's saying maybe he'll be ready for the regular season. It's not hard to envision a world in which the first 2 games of the regular season are toast.
Yeah, there's a chance we'll see when asked about playing week 1.
Yeah, that's vague enough that I don't trust it. But so, let's say he misses 2 games. Let's say that's probably in the middle. That's not being a pessimist or an optimist. It's probably being a realist. And if you look at it from that perspective, those 2 games, I'm going to be judging Sky Moore's performance. That's a good time to judge Sky Moore's performance because when you're looking at it, he is going to fill the role pretty logically of where Toney would have been. Sky, as much as he hasn't been a slot guy, is a move-around guy, right? Remember, they taught him every position. They did all this stuff last year. That's part of the reason he was slower to learn the offense. I still think you can, like, in your brain, say there's a cap for MVS, there's a cap for Richie James, Rashee Rice is a rookie. We'll excuse make for everyone not named Sky Moore for those first 2 games if Kadarius Toney misses time in these games. But, yeah, man, I'm petrified, to be honest, that Kadarius Toney's just going to miss time all damn year again. I was already worried about the injury stuff, and now he's already hurt.
I'm assuming Patrick Mahomes was asked about this offense that likely will not have Kadarius Toney for week 1. Certainly won't have him for training camp, and here's what Patrick Mahomes had to say a short while ago. All right, we'll try to get connected there, Q, back in the studio. Let me know when we've got the audio there from Patrick Mahomes, who was at the podium talking about shells that they were in today at practice, and of course, maybe who has to step up. So we'll let you know when we have that. We're also expecting to hear from Jerick McKinnon at some point, just to set things up for the noon hour today, around 12:05, 12:10. Pete Sweeney going to stop by, as he does each and every day, from our broadcast tent here in St. Joe. And then 12:30, Nate Taylor from The Athletic, who has been all over the contract situation for Chris Jones, who reported that Chris Jones' camp is asking for $30 million a year on average. That is something we certainly will dive into with Nate Taylor coming up at 12:30.
Somebody said, like I've got a text that said, do you really think that the team was saying he's wide receiver 1 or just trying to prop him up? They spent less draft capital on him than they did to have Rice or Sky. Yeah, but the reason why Tony is a former first-round pick, and that's not wrong. It's not wrong to say that they spent less capital on that player than they did the others. But it's also, like, go through the reality of when you're looking at those players, they choose the players to prop up. And I understand you'd be like, they have openly told people that they think Kadarius Toney has the talent to be a 1. They have not said that about Sky Moore. Also, that should actually hold more weight. The fact that they're willing to say it about a player who they have spent less on from a resources department than that, and that's the guy that they're plugging. It's the same as when they're talking about Pacheco or Tyreek. They're usually pretty clear about the players they trust.
Yeah, you used the word. What did you say? Petrified or devastated is how you describe the.
I'm scared he's going to be hurt all year. Yeah.
So I get the concern. What I would say to that is, you're saying that you think, all right, he's missing 1 or 2 games, and you're assuming he's going to miss more after, and that's very fair based off his track record. I would argue, much rather have it happen right this second though than
the timing's better.
Then it's week 4
or 17
or week 4, and all of a sudden he's out. That's something that none of us obviously would have liked to have seen.
There's a benefit in it. There's a
cable-free.
I don't know what that was in the background, but we got the hardworking Pete Sweeney making his way to our 10 here. And of course, Chiefs training camp, we always broadcast inside the Ag Power broadcast tent. Score big this year with your home team John Deere dealer, Ag Power. Visit agpower.com for more, and we've got our Chiefs Insider joining us. Look at quick early today. I love it. Chiefs Insider from Arrowhead Pride, Pete Sweeney.
I did a light jog.
Did you?
Over here.
Okay.
In this heat?
Unfortunately, a little bit more mobile right now than Kadarius Toney, as we just found out.
Yeah, the knees holding up?
No, yeah. So far, so good for me. Not so good for Toney. And I think, to me, the key words were cartilage, meniscus, and then later saying the chance of week 1.
Mm-hmm. That means no.
I
Firm no.
I tend to think that means no, and the problem with that, and I was talking to Gold about this before practice off the air, is that he practiced for about 3 minutes, which makes him ineligible for PUP. So if he wants to be on that injured reserve to return, he's going to have to make that initial 53-man roster. So I know that there'll probably be a lot of fans being like, oh, that's all right, Justin Ross.
We saw the text.
Ross can make the team.
The text said, keep Rice and Ross, cut Sky Moore. We already got a couple of those, too.
There are still things to figure out. Now, there is a means around that, right? If you can sneak a player that you think will get through waivers, you keep 7 receivers, and then you bring that player back after, that particular receiver goes to IR, then you have those 6 receivers, and you figure it out as you go. Just not a good situation considering all the hype that was building into him as being the number 1 receiver.
So this is officially if Toney doesn't play week 1, they will have the worst wide receiver unit in the NFL? Tell me I'm wrong. They got a second-year wide receiver with a guy with 250 yards, MVS.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice. It's not a good wide receiver unit.
If you want to use an optimistic adjective, it's certainly the most unproven unit in the NFL because none of these guys have really done it before. Marquez Valdez-Scantling in his career, he's been good.
He's done it. He's just done.
He's been more of a role player,
yeah.
right? Like, so you're going to really need some of these young guys to step up. The good news, if you're looking for it, is that Sky Moore has looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice, so far through 2-3 days here, breaking the mold, I think, where he looks like he could contribute in year 1 as a receiver in Andy Reid's offense. And I've been saying this too. I think maybe it's a scenario where you go a little heavier. Maybe it's 12 personnel, 13 personnel, where you have 2 and 3 tight ends on the field. You run the ball with Isaiah Pacheco, who looks great out here. You get Deneric Prince and potentially Clyde Edwards-Helaire involved. You go to receivers when you have to. We've seen Patrick Mahomes, and I would say this. When you guys are in the press box or watching at the game or whatever, I feel like the best times that the Chiefs offense is really rolling is when you look at the end of the game and there's 10 or 11 different targets on in the mix. And I just think if there's anyone to figure it out, it's these guys. But this is going to be the tallest ask, maybe, I think, in the era of Patrick Mahomes as far as offensive skill players with him.
I think unproven is, to me, I like that word because you're right, Cody. I think on based off of
on
that,
paper it's the worst.
On paper it does. You're like, okay, but that's also assuming that out of Rice and Richie James and Sky Moore, that not one single one of them is going to actually progress. And I find it very hard to believe that at least one of them won't under Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, I got Patrick Mahomes. His mic wasn't working, but I got it now.
Be a 800+ yard receiver. I actually believe that now more than ever. And I think he's the guy that's going to end up being opposite MVS in terms of most receiving yards on this team now.
Pete, I'm with you. I'm a big Noah Gray guy now. I'm
Yes.
thinking like 450 yards.
More than he's ever had in his career. You tell me all the time. MVS, I always say MVS 750, and you remind me 100 times a day. He's never had 700. Noah Gray in his
Noah
career.
Gray's been in the league for 2 years. MVS has been here for 35 and has never eclipsed 700 yards.
Noah Gray is I put it on Twitter. Noah Gray is my breakout pick for this year.
Yeah.
I just think he's been waiting, and it's when McCole Hardman was here, we talked about the shadow that like a Tyreek Hill would have on you, a Juju Smith-Schuster or Travis Kelce. This is the biggest shadow in the NFL. Travis Kelce in front of you at tight end, and what you're going to need for Noah Gray to have those types of numbers is exactly this situation where maybe the wide receiver unit isn't as strong, and that's the thing. And that was something I asked Andy Reid. It's like, do you have time to pivot the scheme? You already have a scheme in place, and the answer was kind of no. But you're also going to have to rely on receivers that can get open, and right, like at this time right now, you take Kadarius Toney out of the mix. Who's the second best pass catcher on the team?
Jerick McKinnon.
Is it Noah Gray? Yeah. I'm talking downfield, right? McKinnon, you're right. McKinnon, you're right. Like close to the line of scrimmage. I'm talking downfield. Is it Noah Gray? I mean,
Rasheed Rice, maybe.
You could have that conversation, right? But you don't know with Rasheed Rice.
The Noah Gray thing is intriguing for me. To me, that's how maybe you extend Travis Kelce's career a little bit too.
Yes.
He mentioned how he was beat up a little bit more, even though he didn't miss games. He was beat up a little bit more. If you want to go with Cody, and we joke all the time about could he play till he's 37 or 38? I think you need someone like Noah Gray to get a lot more work and be someone you feel confident that you can maybe use a little bit more, save Kelce for some of those bigger moments and the postseason to make sure that you're still getting what makes Travis Kelce the best tight end in football.
I just look at this whole situation, and I know that look, if you're panicking out there, there's fair reason to panic. But just ask yourself, in these first 3-4 weeks of the season, isn't Patrick Mahomes still going to have 300 yards in 3 of those games?
Yep.
Those yards are going to come from somebody, right? And I think I think the quarterback deserves your trust there.
Here's the thing. I actually think that's the wrong way to look at it.
Okay.
Because you guys aren't wrong. You're not wrong that in the end, the yardage total, the touchdowns will look like what they look like. The real question is, if it is the fourth quarter in a one-score game, like every stupid game in the NFL, is there a wide receiver who can actually get open then? Not what he can total in the entire game, but when it's the fourth quarter and it's a one-score game, and Mahomes has to get the ball to somebody, can Sky Moore get open?
I'll
can
answer
Noah
the same
Gray
way.
get open?
I'll
Can
answer
someone get open?
I'll answer the same way we did last year, where we said, well, even with Tyreek Hill out of the equation, we said, well, do you feel better about where Demarcus Robinson being that fourth or fifth guy, or do you feel better that, or do you feel better? Do you feel better that might be Rasheed Rice this year? I think the answer, even though we hadn't seen him yet, I feel confident already more in Rasheed Rice more than I would D-Rob.
Yeah, probably.
More Rice, Gray, Fortson. There are red zone options, and I think a problem of last year were these third and shorts. Now I think every aspect of your offense becomes more magnified. Like they need someone to make sure that Mahomes doesn't come off the field when you're trying to make sure you take care of each and every opportunity. It's going to be dicey, I think, at the beginning. But I think Andy Reid deserves our trust here after 11 years of figuring it out with, as we were mentioning, Al Smith pre-Tyreek Hill. This was a team that was making the playoffs. So I just
they got 4+ weeks also.
Yeah, and I was talking to someone in the media, and they informed me that there are 16 more practices before the first preseason game.
Whoa!
So there's
what?
There are plenty.
Please don't give us that daily countdown. Today's enough, but I don't need a countdown tomorrow
There's
either.
plenty of time to figure it out.
Man, oh man. Other than some of the negative and obviously frustration around the injury for Toney, who stood out today for you? I mean, I know you've been tweeting and talking a lot about Deneric Prince, who I guess we should have brought him up as a guy that can catch the football because you've been mentioning how he doesn't drop a football.
No.
Who else stood out? Because I thought we saw an interception from one of the young corners, and we saw after practice Nick Jones was working with Snead and Trent McDuffie.
Yeah. Najee Johnson actually got first-team reps today, if you're really paying attention.
Didn't he get some first-team reps at the beginning of camp last year, got a little buzz?
A little bit, and you know what? He really came into his own.
Najee Johnson. Did I say Nick Jones? I'm sorry.
No, he really came into his own. Nick Jones did have the pick, but Najee Johnson was getting some of the reps with the first team today. And Najee Johnson, these past few days, he had 3 pass breakups yesterday. Blaine Gabbert with the second team. So I think Steve Spagnuolo said, look, if you're going to have 3 pass breakups with the second team, let's see what you can do with the first team. And so that's another thing that, in a backward way, you're talking about the Toney issue. Let's say the Chiefs' offense is down a tick, which for them maybe is like 24 points instead of the usual 30.
It's probably low still. It's probably 27.
Right? The defense, it becomes more important. And some of these young guys, I think, are really stepping up. I've been really interested, and you guys weren't here these first few days, but there's a battle going on between Mahomes and McDuffie, and it is fun. I keep going back to that McDuffie pick. The Chiefs themselves have been on record in saying we could not believe he was in our range to trade up to get him. And I think even this year more so you're seeing why. And he's providing Patrick Mahomes an ample challenger, and this is the best quarterback we've ever seen through his 6 years in the league. And to do that in his second year has been impressive. He almost had an interception today. Mahomes talked about that. He's going to keep challenging these guys. And for as weak on paper, admitted as they are and young at the wide receiver position, they are that good and young, I think, and proven in the cornerback room. And maybe that helps you too. Maybe the defense more consistently gives up 14 to 17 points instead of the 21 to 24 we usually see in the first few weeks of Spags each year.
Tell me whether or not this is a player that I'm just thinking is a camp related or just the perfect Steve Spagnuolo guy. Drew Tranquil's going to play a lot, isn't he? Like maybe more than Willie Gay play a lot.
He's going to take some snaps, right?
So right now, you're seeing in the base D, it's Leo Chanel, and that's going to be rundowns, right? And I think they really like Leo in that role. I think it's going to be tough for him to break through as somebody who's going to be in coverage. But when they are in coverage and you take a linebacker off the field, I wouldn't be stunned if Drew pushes Willie Gay Jr. For some of those reps. Got two hands, back-to-back plays, 2 plays where he got hands on the ball. Should have had an interception, similar to McDuffie. McDuffie and who we're talking about, Drew Tranquil, should have had interceptions today, getting their hands on the ball, which are great signs to see. And what a defense I think that they're building here. The last piece to me is we'll get the defensive tackle, get the all-pro defensive tackle.
Get Chris Jones in camp.
And then just one more veteran pass rusher. Mike Dana, to me, has looked good these first few days as well. Getting in Mahomes' face. Remember, they can't touch him. He's got Mahomes has the yellow Pacheco jersey on right now, so you can't touch him. But Mike Dana's been getting in his face, knocked down a ball yesterday. You can tell he's shown a knack for getting to the quarterback. I'm really interested in seeing Mike Dana once the pads come on, because that's when you really get to see what do you have in the offensive line and the defensive line.
I think people forget when Dana plays, I mean, he can be a 6 or 7 sack guy. He's been nicked up with injuries here or there. Like he seems like the Frank Clark replacement.
Riddled by injuries at the beginning of last year, and I think that really hurt him. I think he's a known name that could become a name this year when he shows that he can get to the quarterback maybe just as well as the other side.
I was going to say, you got people at Arrowhead Pride camped out for Carlos Dunlap at the airport, or Chris Jones at the airport, or what?
Well, the first piece that has to fall is Jones. The Chiefs have no money, cap-wise.
$0.
So, they have to figure something out, and then once, you hope that situation starts to get a little bit better here, they do have the money to go and get Carlos Dunlap. Carlos on the beautiful red carpet that they have before entering the private ring ceremony that none of us were invited to. What the heck? But
sorry, man.
I know.
If Pete can't get invited, none of us have hope. That's what it is.
But anyway, he was saying that he is very interested in coming back. I think there's mutual interest. It's a no-brainer. He shows a knack for getting the quarterback. Still can do it, even though he's got 100 sacks all these years in the league. And they had a great time last year. I think that Dunlap finds his way to St. Joe once the Chris Jones money frees up a little bit here.
I know you don't have any other work to do, so go see Oppenheimer, and
I did.
We'll talk to you tomorrow.
You already saw it?
I did.
What's the Pete Sweeney review?
Hot take. Liked it. A little long. B+.
3 hours.
3 hours.
We asked Barbie. That's the real question.
We asked KARLAFTIS if he was going to see.
My girlfriend says we have to see Barbie this week.
KARLAFTIS said he has no interest in seeing Oppenheimer or Barbie. He only wants comedies and sports movies.
That's understandable.
Big Adam Sandler guy.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
There you go.
You loop it, you swoop it, you pull.
Pete Sweeney, the editor-in-chief of Arrowhead Pride, our Chiefs insider. He joins us every day after practice right here in St. Joe, and our Chiefs training camp coverage on 610 Sports Radio, brought to you by Twin Peaks Eats, Drinks, Scenic Views. Coming up next, we continue broadcasting here in St. Joe. We'll get to what's trending. You'll hear from Patrick Mahomes, and, of course, Nate Taylor from The Athletic going to join us, give us the latest on where things stand with Chris Jones.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANN Asphalt.
I have the live stream up. The actual Chiefs live stream on YouTube lost sound.
News, 610 Sports Radio.
Okay, so what do we have?
Andrew Mackey.
I'll listen to it over the next, but it went like to a commercial break or whatever, and then came back. But you heard a mic pop at the beginning of when Mahomes stood up to the.
So do we have any other sound?
Towards a new exciting career.
Yeah, we've got some. It starts in the middle of an answer to a question.
Put your GI Bill to work and start your new career in IT.
We'll do
Go to
what's trending
centric.com/610 for more information. That's CENTRIQ.com/610.
Milagro Tequila in Jackson County.
Okay. Is Nate Taylor up there, or do I need to call him?
MMA bout streamed live worldwide from the Cable Downer Arena.
I got his number.
The main event is a battle between G-Money Gage and Manny Miro. Marshall Kemp takes on Chris Gonzalez, and fan favorite Zach Scroggin will go head-to-head with Josh Tolley. Get tickets for FAC 20 from Ticketmaster or the Cable Downer Arena box office. Sponsored by Dream Machine Motorsports, Hoy Excavating, Herzog, Wholesale Batteries, and Tintmaster.
You're always better with a roof from JR.
Well, that was fun. And who says we don't get hurricanes in KC? That storm that blew through last week had Category 1 hurricane winds. And now, here come all the hail-chasing roofers. But there was no hail. And inspecting a roof for wind damage is a lot different than inspecting for hail damage. Unlike hail's dings and dents, wind damage likes to hide until the next storm when your roof leaks. That is exactly why you need to call JR & Company. With years of hurricane experience in Florida, locally owned JR & Company knows how to find the wind damage that others might miss. And they know how to deal with insurance adjusters on wind claims. As always, our inspection and your peace of mind are free at jrroofcheck.com.
You're always better with a roof from JR.
Visit jrroofcheck.com.
Tailgates and turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey is always a winner. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot.
It's only one weekend a year. This weekend, the national gun show that attracts sellers, buyers, and browsers from coast to coast and border to border. It's the 52nd annual National Summer Arms Show. Come buy, sell, and trade at hundreds of sales tables and displays featuring vintage rifles and handguns, ammo, brass, reloading items, and blades from everyday use to high-end collectibles. See modern arms, historic collections, and hundreds of military collectibles, some dating back to the Civil War. Join Marlin Firearms collectors celebrating their 50th anniversary. The Colt collectors and high-standard collectors will be there too. It's the Midwest's highest caliber event. It's the 52nd annual National Summer Arms Show, sponsored by the Missouri Valley Arms Collectors Association. Saturday and Sunday, July 29th and 30th at the KCI Expo Center. Just $12 or get a 2-day pass for $20. Kids 15 and under are free with an adult. Visit us online for show hours at nationalsummerarmshow.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands to treat ED at up to 95% off. That's right, the same active ingredient as the brand name for 95% less. It's the same ED medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Hey, this is Rex with KC Real Estate Buyers, and I buy houses for cash. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, grab a pencil. I'm going to give you a very important phone number in 40 seconds. I'm a private real estate investor. I live right here in KC, and I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at KC Real Estate Buyers, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs.
Somehow lost power.
Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great.
I'm on my
If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000. Or go to Rex Buys.
By the way, next commercial break. Yes, and then I will use that for your third one.
It's too hot to cook. Make it easy with Old Shawnee Pizza and their Tuesday special. Any single topping pizza is just $12.99. That's right, only $12.99. Call or go to OldShawneePizza.com to order. Old Shawnee Pizza. 2 locations, Shawnee and Lenexa.
Okay, never mind. Did you put the Pro Bowl, Orlando?
Enjoying my hot shower.
Yeah, we'd all like to. Hot water hog.
That's it. Family meeting. We can all enjoy long, steaming, hot showers. Even the last in line, which it seems is always me. But go ahead. Have that imaginary argument of what you should have said. Take your time. With our new high-efficiency
1 minute.
Navy and tankless water heater, I'll never take a cold shower again. Visit tanklessmadesimple.com to learn more.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C. 3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Donate on 610sports.com to the Let's Play Sports Equipment Drive, presented by Pinnacle Bank, benefiting the Urban Youth Academy. Thank you for all your support. 610 Sports Radio, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app. What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topic trending.
Number one, what's trending? You heard from Andy Reid. We got an update on where things are at for Kadarius Toney, who had surgery this morning to repair his knee injury that was suffered in Sunday's practice after catching a punt. He tried to change directions, and Andy Reid saying that there was some damage to the meniscus in his knee when he did that, cleaning up some cartilage in his knee as well. He already had the cartilage cleanup surgery earlier this offseason. When Andy was asked about the chance of Kadarius Toney playing week 1, he said, quote, "There's a chance, we'll see." Obviously,
Feels like a
given
no.
that it's week 1 and you got 17 games and this football team's playing games in the postseason, no reason to push it. I think it is very likely, as you were saying, Cody, that Kadarius Toney would not be available for week 1, but we'll see how it plays out. Certainly an opportunity, as we've discussed, for Rashee Rice, for Richie James, for Sky Moore and others to step up not only during camp, but during preseason. The only positive is the timing, right? They've got 40-plus days before week 1. So even if he misses week 1, if this would have happened August 30th, well, he might miss 7 or 8 games. Not the case here. We'll see if he only misses 1 or 2.
Yeah, that's just one of those, like, if you're choosing to be optimistic, that's a good way to look at it, and that's fine. I want to be optimistic because I want the Chiefs to be okay. If anything, this gives a massive opportunity for Sky Moore, Rashee Rice, and some of these other guys to step up. Because you and I both know we'd rather be those guys than Justin Watson. It's nothing against Justin Watson. He's a perfectly fine 5th or 6th wide receiver, but that's what he should remain on a really good, deep team. They're deep in so many other areas, though. That's their only non-deep position. That's why it stinks the injuries there. I think they're deep on linebackers, deep at secondary, deep on the offensive line. You know, they're good. They've got depth, just not there, that's all. Next up on What's Trending, scary moment for LeBron James' son, Bronny James, who's committed to USC. He was on the court on Monday and had a cardiac arrest. He was taken to a hospital, now in stable condition, and is no longer in the ICU. I think the James family asked for privacy at this time. He's 18 years old and went into cardiac arrest. We just watched the DeMar Hamlin thing, and we know that these types of things can happen all the time, but sometimes, like, cardiac issues for players keeps them from playing sports. So I don't really know what's going to happen next with Bronny James, but very scary moment for the James family today.
Super scary when it comes to that. It's also the second USC player in the last calendar year at a basketball practice that
a
collapsed.
cardiac event. Yeah.
Next up on What's Trending, a couple former Chiefs, Cody, signing contracts in the NFL. The Raiders have reached an agreement with former Ravens and former Chief corner Marcus Peters. So Marcus Peters, once again in the AFC West, he'll be coming to Arrowhead this year. That should be fun. A 1-year deal. Could be as much as $5 million. Also, just in the last 10 minutes or so, reportedly Byron Pringle, another former Chief, signing with the Washington Commanders. We know Eric Bieniemy's the offensive coordinator there. Eric Bieniemy already brought over Marcus Kemp, so EB's got Marcus Kemp and Byron Pringle.
He's got them teaching
some
the rest
guys,
of the wide receivers.
Yeah, some special teams players and probably some guys, that know how he wants to run things. It doesn't hurt.
Let me show you guys. Hey, these guys are going to show you how this all works, okay? Classic signing. I always like that because you know that that's going to happen across the board. Andy Reid brought people over that he trusted too. It happens every time. There's almost no question. Next up on What's Trending, the Royals tonight. Back in action against the Cleveland Guardians, coming off their win last night, 5-3. It'll be Zach Greinke on the mound for KC. He is, I think, still winless on the road, and he's 1-10 on the season. I don't want Greinke to be bad. I want him to just dominate the rest of the year because I want him to come back. I don't want this to be the end of Zach Greinke's Major League Baseball career. It'll bum me out.
It's trending in that direction.
I'm about to hold a funeral on this show. Do you know how sad I'll be if Greinke's not a big leaguer anymore?
It's definitely trending in that direction.
My favorite Royals player of all time.
And again, if you have enough young pitching, you don't feel like, I think you're in the same spot as you are right now.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you need him to be. He's not even this team's 5th starter. He's been their number 1, number 2 starter. That's a problem. That's a major problem.
A little bit.
Lastly, on What's Trending, the Pro Bowl, which, remember, it's just the Pro Bowl games now, not a game. They do the little mini games, essentially. It'll be in Orlando in 2024. Again, it's a skill competition, which is fine, I guess, and they're not even going to Hawaii anymore. It was in Vegas last year. It's in Orlando this year. Not the same. Not the same. I didn't even watch the skills competition this year, so I guess why do I care?
I didn't watch it either. Doesn't mean anything to me, man. It's the exact same thing you just said. Means absolutely nothing to me at all because I'm not going to watch it.
That is
Orlando's kind of a dump. Why do they keep sending people to Orlando for things? Just because it's warm and sunny?
Players can, if they have kids, they go down there. They can take their kids to Disney World along the same trip. That's what they do. You know, that's what you do.
Okay.
That's what's trending. Add Orlando to the list of cities that we've called a dump on this show. Add that.
What was the one
you called?
You called
Spokane.
Spokane,
which it is. Spokane, Washington is a dump.
You know what's not fair is that I've never been to Orlando. I'm just assuming
I've been to
it's
Orlando,
a dump.
only at Disney World. But
was it a dump?
No, I mean I was 11 or 12 years old.
So you didn't know any better.
It wasn't a dump when I was 12.
Well, that's different.
It might be now. Now there's Disney World there. It can't be that bad. It's the happiest place on earth.
Okay.
And the most expensive place on earth as well.
Dude, I look at going to Disney World sometimes with my kids, and I genuinely cannot fathom how I can afford it.
That's what's trending. Here on Cody and Gold, we're live in St. Joe. Chiefs practice wrapped up about an hour ago. We've reached that point in the show where it's just us and the guy mowing the lawn here. That's about it. It's just,
I got to remember to bring the football
and
so one of these times I can come out here and kick.
We do, and the humidity ratchets up a little bit, usually around noon or so. Welcome to Chiefs camp, and we're live in the Ag Power broadcast tent. Score big this year with your hometown team, John Deere dealer, Ag Power. Visit agpower.com for more. Coming up in about 20 minutes or so, Nate Taylor from The Athletic will join us. We're going to talk more about Chris Jones and that contract, a little bit about his thoughts on camp as well, but really want to focus in on the report that he had about $30 million being the asking price on average each year for Chris Jones. Where do things stand? How long does he think this drags out? And who's going to flinch first? Is it the Chiefs or is it Chris Jones? Somebody's going to have to at some point in time. When do the Chiefs start to panic? When does Chris Jones start to panic? We'll get into that with Nate Taylor coming up at 12:30 or so. But a little bit earlier when we were talking to George KARLAFTIS, Patrick Mahomes was speaking to the media, and here's what he had to say after practice today.
Season, so I think that helped out a ton. And his talent is, I mean, everybody knows how talented he is, and I'm just excited for him to learn the offense from the start. Last year, he picked it up as we're in advanced mode. Now he gets to see the beginner and work his way through it, and I'm excited for him when he gets back that he'll be ready to go.
Is there anything you're looking to step up now with him out?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think a lot of guys will kind of fill that role throughout training camp. I want guys to just be themselves. I think you've seen in this offense is it can be ran a lot of different ways. And so obviously when Kadarius is in there, we run it one way because of his talent and what he can do. And when he's not in there, we can run a different way to really accelerate the other guys' talents. And guys like Sky Moore, Rashee Rice will step up as well as guys like Marquez and Justin Watson. I mean, we have a lot of tight ends. We have a lot of depth in this entire team this year. And so I'm just excited for guys to go out there and seize their opportunity. Yeah, I like to test guys because I feel like now I have a good sense of the offense, obviously. So I like to try to do stuff to see how guys react. I mean, that's using a lot of different cadences throughout practice and see if the offensive line will sit in there with the new guys and be off the ball at the right time, or if that's with the receivers. I know there's one down in the red zone today with Justin Ross where I try to throw him the fade ball and that's not something that he necessarily is taught to do, but it's something that it's the next step. And so let's try it out here. If he messes up and he doesn't do it the next time, then whenever he gets to the game days, he'll do it right and score a touchdown. And so it's just stuff like that. It's just testing guys, doing that stuff that maybe not as talked about in the meeting room, but it's stuff that we do throughout our offense. And this is where you have to test it out. And Coach Reed gives me the freedom to do that. Must have talked too loud.
Mahomes dropped the mic.
There, I can do that.
Like a bad table at a restaurant, right?
I think the malt box might be working again now, but I don't know. What a world.
They should try handing it to the people asking the questions. That'd be nice too.
Okay, they went. I think that was it for Mahomes.
Okay, well, that's it for Patrick Mahomes.
Well, maybe you heard me. I think they need to pass the mic to the reporter so we can hear the questions.
Huh.
Too. Yeah.
You know what? You want to a true story? I swear. It's because, like, all this stuff is, like, kind of like we got the video camera set up and stuff. It's a little more work and all that. So I was down there once, and I wanted better audio. I had set up a camera. I was plugged in, but you couldn't hear the reporter questions, and I wanted them for the purposes of that. And they had an XLR on a mic stand sitting in front of the tent one time. And I'm like, hey, so do you think we could go ahead and, plug that into the old malt box so that because there was a microphone sticking out, like a shotgun mic sticking out. I was like, hey, can we plug that in so we could just get slightly better audio? And the guy's like, oh, I'm sorry, man, I don't have an XLR for it. I was like, no big deal. I'll bring you one tomorrow. That way, I can get this better audio. He's like, okay, sounds good. I show up the next day. That microphone's just not on the podium. He took it off the mic stand. I'm like, we're not doing that, pal. Nah, you're asking for extra work here, and we're not doing that. But you can hear from Mahomes, that's the optimist point of view from the wide receiver stuff, which is, hey, we will operate the way we need to operate, and there's a lot of different ways we can play this, and they were always designed this year to be versatile without any one guy just taking up or eating up all these targets outside of Kelsey. So to me, it doesn't functionally change how they operate. It's just, do you have enough talent at other positions to cover it? Well, and that's really the question we won't know until the Chiefs get into the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I just struggle with, and I'm not saying that, it's wrong to be concerned. It's just really difficult for me to get in that spot and that frame of mind when we just did this a year ago. And that's why it's tough for me.
But it's less talent than a year ago.
This team is better with Tony on the field. No question.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely. But this is different than, if you told me Chris Jones wasn't here at all, which he's not at camp.
Well, that's way scarier. Yeah.
Right? I mean, he's the guy on defense. You don't have different ways to mask him missing out. Heck, we had KARLAFTIS on, and you were asking him about, what you joked, but you were like 95%. Does he help you?
Yeah.
Like, KARLAFTIS was like, he does a lot. He does a lot for us. Kadarius Toney helps this team, and they need him on the field. But it is way easier to mask than losing someone on defense. And because for all the questions we have about Toney, at the same time, you're right that the Chiefs have said they think he can be a number one. But if you and others and all of us are so concerned about him being available and all this kind of stuff, then him being out at the same time, like, I don't know about you, we were factoring that into the equation as well. The problem is it's happening right out of the gates, and so I get the concern. But
which makes you feel like it's going to happen more than just this one time.
And I know we can say, and
he had off-season surgery.
I think Pete used the right word. It's an unproven bunch. And you can say I'm just looking at it from the optimistic side.
You are being optimistic, but that's fine.
And that's fine, but, like, when you look at the room, there's some, I think, that act as though, well, they all suck because we've never seen it. And I'm like, that's not reality. Not all three, James, Sky, Moore, and Rashee Rice are not all going to turn out to be studs. I know that. We've all been around the league long enough and covered it to know that. But also at the same time, all three of them aren't going to suck with Mahomes and Andy Reid, okay? And so it's going to be all right. And you're right, it's not just the yardage. Who's going to be the guy you trust on 3rd and 6 outside of Kelsey? That guy is going to have to emerge. Last year it was Juju Smith-Schuster. At times it was Justin Watson, believe it or not. So I think at some point it's going to be somebody like Richie James. It might be Jerick McKinnon. It might be 1 week. I mean, last year we were sitting in the same table, and we said, hey, some weeks it might be Juju, and some weeks it might be this guy. It might be McColl and all that. And I feel like it's the same situation, and it's going to take some time to delve, to divvy up. Week 3 last year, they lost to the Colts. Wasn't it week 3? And that was when there was massive panic. Uh-oh.
Couldn't score.
And they couldn't. And we were like, well, here we go. Now they're really missing Tyreek Hill. And that was a game they missed Tyreek Hill. But they adapted. Nobody adapts to personnel better in the league than Andy Reid.
That's why I don't get sent into a panic spiral. But it's not apples to last year. There are similarities. There's no doubt it feels like we're having similar conversations. But last year, this would be like we weren't trusting the wide receiver unit, and then right before the season, we found out Juju Smith-Schuster was going to miss some games. Because that's where we are now. And Kadarius wasn't even as proven as Juju. So it's like missing Juju Smith-Schuster from last year's wide receiver unit. That's essentially the comparison, which I wouldn't have wanted at any point last year. And the only upside to this is there are more chances for growth this year than there was last year if that same thing had happened. There is more upside. I'm not going to pretend like there's not. There's a better chance Sky Moore is good this year than last year. There's a better chance, in my opinion, Rashee Rice is good this year than last year, and further down the list. But and Richie James is a player that they didn't really have on the roster last year, so he's kind of an unknown, so he kind of fits half of
there's
what
a chance, I think,
there's
a chance when the season's over that Richie James is a lot more like Juju Smith-Schuster than we think in terms of the role he's going to play.
No, it's very much so. I think it's just such an unknown. It is easy, and I do not blame fans who are like, this is a bad wide receiver unit. Because, on paper, it is. I can certainly make the optimist argument for, hey, here's how it'll be better. I don't think you really want to have the argument for Justin Watson or MVS being any different. I think we have to focus this conversation around those other players. Not you, just in general. I wouldn't come in here and be like, well, you know what it's going to be? MVS, a 950-yard wide receiver. Like, all right, I don't think so, but you are much closer, anybody would be much closer to convincing me Richie James is all of a sudden a 750 or 800-yard receiver, or Sky Moore takes this big leap. But it's scary because the Chiefs told you that this is their number one wide receiver and that they were banking on that being part of their plan for this year, and now a part of that plan is at least hurt for the early part of the season. Honestly, it's just an inauspicious start because Kadarius Toney had surgery, and I'm waiting for Chris Jones to show up. So it's like, they're the defending Super Bowl champs. I didn't want to come in here feeling bad about the team. So I would probably rather just be just be the optimist right now and just be like, hey, it is Andy and Patrick, and if they have those two guys, things will probably be okay. Because that's the truth. There's a lot of truth.
That is how I feel. I'm
not saying you shouldn't feel that way.
It certainly has made camp a little more interesting to start. I'll tell you that. For camp that doesn't even have pads on yet, it's certainly been interesting. Unfortunately, like you said, it's because one guy's not here, and Chris Jones. We'll talk more about him in 15 minutes or so with Nate Taylor. And then the other one is, unfortunately, just wrong step, tweaked a knee that turned out to actually be a tear for Kadarius Toney before practice started on Sunday when they were doing some punt returns. It won't be the last injury, by the way. You just hope it's nothing. No, the other ones are going to be out, or potentially for a month. But there will be someone else that gets hurt over the next 2.5 weeks here in St. Joe. I can almost bank on it. You hope it's not You hope it's not for a certain player, and you hope
it's not tackle. It's like the only other position I don't feel like they have.
Well, that's the thing right now, though, because they're not in pads. Today was just shells, which I guess was a step up from yesterday. But you really can't judge one of the players that I said I wanted to watch, and you agreed as well. And that's Felix and Uzomah.
No.
Until pads are on, I can't judge how Jawan Taylor's holding up. I can't judge how Felix is handling going up against Jawan Taylor. You know what I mean? We can't really judge any of the offensive line or defensive line until the pads are on. We're still a couple days away from that.
No, I want to see him. I want to see Deneric Prince because, again, now his name's getting mentioned. He wasn't on my list yesterday, but if Louis Riddick is going to start shouting his name from the rooftops, and our guy Pete Sweeney's going to start talking about it.
He's the future McKinnon, I think.
And a lot of this is just – where does everyone slide into the offense without Toney? Because they were already spread out, but it feels even more that way. Felt like if Toney was gone for the entire year. He's not, by the way. That's not the report. He had minor knee surgery, normally a meniscus tear, of which I've torn both in both knees.
Oh, here we go.
I'm not a professional athlete. Even my recovery was like 6 weeks. So, I got to think for a professional athlete, a month does not seem out of the question. I was 6 to 8 weeks for my torn meniscus.
The athlete's going to
recover. Not for like playing professional
the
sports.
athlete's going to recover quicker than you.
Way faster. Are you kidding? And I was young. I was not healthy, but I was a younger person who could heal faster at those moments. So, you would think that that's the case. But
Someone
it's like now I'm
asked,
curious how everyone fits into the mix.
Someone earlier asked if we were going to have a doctor on, and Cody said
I've torn both.
His first response was, "Well, I've torn mine." I said,
You want
"Perfect."
an opinion?
I don't need a doctor then, because Cody's got it covered.
Let me give you a quick. Those are usually, even those like torn meniscus, are very rarely. They're usually scopes. They get in and they fix those things. They just put 3 little holes in your knee. You don't get the big cut down. It's not the ACL thing. You could normally use it, like physically put weight on it after like 2 days, and they have you in physical therapy. I think I was in physical therapy inside of 2 weeks, and I'm just some dude on the street. Kadarius Toney will probably be in physical therapy for his knee surgery in like 4 days.
And maybe the meniscus heals quicker when you don't have a super bone as well, like you. So
yeah, that's a good question. Although, in fairness, I didn't know I had the super bone then.
Do you think you had it before, or was it something that developed with the meniscus?
No. Oh, the bone, the super bone, the meniscus. No, I think that's just
okay.
I got a torn meniscus when someone put a shoulder into my knee when I was like in 7th grade, and then I probably weakened the other knee, and then somebody else put a shoulder into it. That time it was a girl. Yeah, that's right. A girl, when we were playing tackle football, put a shoulder into my knee and ripped my knee up one time. And then, which is fine. I mean, we were happy to have her play. I just didn't expect her to drop a shoulder into the old knee in backyard football. And then, well, she wrote. Then my body just fell apart from then.
Our Chiefs training camp coverage here on 610 Sports Radio, brought to you by Twin Peaks Eats, Drinks, Scenic Views. I mentioned the offensive line, how you can't really judge O-line and defensive line. But if you were wondering just how they're lining up, Cody, it's how we expected at this point. And I still think, barring an injury, unfortunately, I think what we saw today will be that starting offensive line week 1 against the Lions. I know there was some speculation that Jawan Taylor can steal the job from Donovan Smith. I just don't think if Smith is healthy throughout camp, I don't think that's going to be the case. I would like to see if Jawan Taylor can develop into a left tackle for next season, because he might have to be that guy if they don't spend another high pick on a tackle. But right now here at camp, as we're watching it earlier this morning, Donovan Smith, your left tackle, Joe Tooney, your left guard, Creed, obviously your center, Trey Smith, the right guard, and then Jawan Taylor, your big money guy you've spent a lot of money on this offseason, is playing right tackle. And I think that is what they're going to roll with week 1, assuming it's a healthy group over the next month.
Are you feeling any better about it as the camp's gone on? Once they signed Jawan Taylor, I feel like any of the stress I had about the offensive line was like, okay, it'll be okay. They let Orlando Brown go. You and I both know that they could do worse at left tackle than Orlando Brown Jr. They bring in Taylor, and I'm like, okay, you know what? That might be pretty close to what they got out of him. They're still one of the best interior. I think they're the best interior offensive line in the league. And then when they signed Smith, I'm like, this is better than last year's unit. Because, Andrew Wiley has done an admirable job at right tackle for this team. But he regularly rated in the lower end of those Pro Football Focus grade things, too.
No, it's an upgrade at right tackle. It's an upgrade. It's definitely
But it's a downgrade at left tackle almost no matter what. Unless Donovan Smith really turns back the clock, it's probably a downgrade. But not as big of a downgrade as it is an upgrade at right tackle, if that makes sense.
Right.
You're just better in the whole.
Well, I'm assuming this is why he signed here, right? Last year was a really rough year for Donovan Smith. Graded out one of the bottom 2 or 3 offensive linemen in football, according to PFF. I think he was 67th or 68th out of 69, and he was hurt. The Chiefs, I'm clearly are banking the fact that it was health. If he's healthy this year, they think he can return to form from a year or 2 ago. I'm with you that I think. If you just got the same type of Orlando Brown Jr. play, you should be really happy considering the financial impact that you would have had to give to Orlando Brown Jr. I thought Orlando Brown Jr., it'll be funny to see if he plays the same way, talking about Donovan Smith as Orlando Brown. People will view Donovan Smith much more favorably because the money and just, I think, he rubbed some people the wrong way, did Orlando Brown Jr. Last season with some of his comments. But at right tackle, as much as we liked Andrew Wiley and ripping packs with him at training camp, we talked about doing and all that, and talking about baseball cards, by the way. Not cigarettes, as we got into that whole discussion.
Yeah, we did have to get into that.
But Andrew Wiley's in D.C. now, got a nice deal, but Jawan Taylor is a significant upgrade at right tackle. And today's day and age of the NFL, right tackle is becoming very, very important and up near left tackle play because of how much the defensive linemen are rotating. It's not just as simple as probably what it was, 7 years ago.
No, a lot of it is just – this one is way less unknown. You know what Donovan Smith is when he's healthy and on the field. He's fine. He's a perfectly fine left tackle. He was actually probably an above-average left tackle for a long time when he's a little younger. So now he's probably a perfectly fine left tackle, which is what Orlando Brown Jr. is. So if he just stays healthy, you probably get comparable play at left tackle, a guy who played it his entire career at that position. And, yeah, like you said, I feel like it still has a chance to be, outside of Mahomes, the single biggest strength of this team. I don't think it is yet. I would say right now, if you made me rank it out, it's Mahomes 1, it is the cornerback group 2, and it is offensive line 3. But if they get better than average play out of Donovan Smith, then I think there's a pretty good chance that could shoot to number 1. And then all of a sudden, if the 2 biggest strengths of your teams are your quarterback, which will always be 1, and number 2 is the offensive line, then it almost doesn't matter. Let's cycle this back to Kadarius Toney conversation. If Mahomes has all damn day to throw the ball, that's when I borderline don't care who he's throwing it to.
Yeah, you give Sky Moore or Rashee Rice or whoever, an extra quarter of a second, half a second to get some separation because of that offensive line, and certainly it can bode very, very well for you. Coming up next, though, we know who's not here at camp, and it could be quite some time. That's Chris Jones. We get the latest from Nate Taylor of The Athletic at that $30 million per year asking price from Chris Jones, and who's going to flinch first when it comes to these negotiations, the Chiefs or Chris Jones? We'll talk about that next with Nate.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete.
You got Centric coming up.
All things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Think about it. It's not even August yet, which means by the time the new year rolls around, Gold, you could be in a brand new career thanks to Centric Training. Just by going to centric.com/610, you can find out all those career in IT. We've seen them today. I had to call the IT guy today because the Wi-Fi wasn't working well.
Yeah, if you're passionate about technology and you're looking for a quick change, you can sign up for classes at Centric. By the end of this month, classes start. By the end of August, some more classes start as well. If you're interested in AI, we're hearing so much about AI. It's a great area of focus along with cybersecurity and coding. That's one of the many paths you can go down. Just go to centric.com/610.
You just know that there's so much career growth in these because IT changes and they change with it, which means they're going to get you ready for these jobs like you'd mentioned, whether it be Amazon Web Services or others, so you can stay up to date in a very career demand heavy. Their job is to get you a job is the way they look at it. They want to make sure you're in your new career and in it in as little as 4 months.
So talk to our friend Russ over at Centric. He'll explain everything to you. He'll break it all down. He's our great friend. What you think, you should give him a call or go online to centric.com/610.
Put over $100,000 back in your pocket with the Freedom Loan, exclusive to Cap One Lending. You've heard us talk about the Freedom Loan for years. Here's how it works. It pays mostly principal first, eliminating thousands in interest and taking years off your mortgage, all without changing your spending habits. Call Cap One Lending at 816-905-1111 or apply at caponelending.com.
You said Nate's at camp?
Imagine paying your mortgage off in half the time with half the interest, all with no out-of-pocket closing cost. Whether you're purchasing, refinancing, or taking cash out, call Cap One Lending now and we'll have your loan approved in an hour and ready to close in 10 days. 816-905-1111, 905-1111, or apply at caponelending.com.
Cap One Lending, making your dreams a reality is what we do.
Cap One Lending, a Kansas licensed mortgage company, license number MC0026341, NMLS of Missouri license 2468614. Programs and rates subject to change without notice.
What does it mean to be the official information technology provider for the Chiefs? Everything. Technology Group Solutions makes sure everything runs flawlessly for the millions of fans that attend games and the hundreds of millions of fans that comprise Chiefs Kingdom around the world. Technology Group Solutions can deploy that same dedication, problem solving, and incredible service to ensure your business runs smoothly all day, every day, just like your Chiefs. Technology Group Solutions, powering Chiefs Kingdom and ready to do the same for you.
Tailgates in Turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC. Turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com.
My friends at Window World asked me to tell you about a very special auction benefiting Action for Autism. Action for Autism is a Missouri organization that provides therapy and learning for kids ages 2 to 21 to help them prepare for a successful future. You can bid on a whole home renovation worth $40,000. To place your bid, go to the Kansas City Chiefs website or windowskc.com. The bidding starts at $15,000. The auction will close on July 27th, and it's so easy to register. The renovation package includes windows, exterior wrapped, insulated siding, gutters, doors, and much more. Every penny of the proceeds go to Action for Autism. You can make a donation. If you choose not to submit a bid, all you need to do is go to windowskc.com for all the details. 1 out of 68 children born today are diagnosed with autism, and you can make a difference in these kids' lives by making a bid or a donation at windowskc.com today.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and stop smoking without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Only $49.99 guaranteed. That's right. Don't just cut down, but stop smoking once and for all. Also, lose all the weight and let hypnosis destroy unwanted cravings, late day eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating, and lose the weight. Stop Smoking Seminar Wednesday, August 9th at the Wingate Hotel in Kansas City. Weight Loss Seminar 5:30 p.m. and Stop Smoking at 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
AutoZone is more than a parts store. It's where we help you solve problems like, sorry I'm late, my battery died. And
I need a jump. Again.
At America's #1 battery destination, you can find the right battery at the right price with options starting at only $89.99. And we offer free battery testing and charging whenever you need it. Get the parts and help you need to get the job done right at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/JOY.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage on 610 Sports Radio is brought to you by Park and Go. Book parkandgo.com.
Getting ready to go on vacation can be stressful. Lucky for us, there's Park and Go. Easy online reservation, free instant shuttles, luggage assistance, and all spots are covered. Reserve your spot today at bookparkandgo.com. The best deals in airport parking. Park and Go, family owned and operated.
All right, we continue broadcasting here in St. Joe. Brought to you by Max Motors. Worth the drive from anywhere. MaxMotors.com, providing our Ford F-150 transportation throughout Chiefs training camp. I just noticed we have some packets of sunscreen left by the, the American Cancer Society. I guess it's our cue to put on some SPF 30, it looks like. Maybe on Friday we'll do that. Maybe on Friday. You can hear. You can just tell that was Nate Taylor. Just right there. Nate Taylor's sitting down with us.
I grew up in the 90s. I don't think we knew what sunscreen was.
From the Athletic with us here. He was nice enough to walk quite a distance down to our tent.
It's fine. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
That sunscreen, it ain't part of my routine.
Oh?
No, it ain't really part of my routine.
How often do you get out to the pool during the summer?
Like 3 or 4 times,
Okay.
I won't give the location, but, my son's birthday party might involve, a pool.
Oh,
so
yeah?
Don't tell Cody. He's going to try to sneak in.
I mean, look,
Why are you trying to sneak in?
Because he's been trying to find a pool for his kids all summer long.
I don't know. I was specifically trying to, and I still don't understand why this guy did it. There's a neighborhood pool that is really close to our house. Like borderline, you could almost walk there. We're not in that neighborhood. So I did. I straight up bribed the guy who runs it. Hundreds of dollars of my money to get me a key fob. Man won't budge. Won't come off the key fob.
I thought the story was he gave it to you.
No, he won't come off of it.
Wow.
Man's a man of integrity. I got to get his ass out and get somebody shadier in so that they'll take my money.
I mean,
who turns down a couple $100?
Just a key fob, just in and out, just, hey.
I'm one family. What do you think, I'm going to share this thing? Just the four of us.
We're not going to talk to anybody. We're just going to have a nice time. We'll bring our little floaties out here and,
I'll follow the rules. We're good.
Let my wife chill. Is he not married? Does he not?
I don't know, man.
Does he not have a significant other?
I don't know.
Wow.
Making life hard on me, though.
Yeah. Well, Overland Park's got my money, so there's nothing I can do there.
Well, Gladstone Community Center has my money now.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do now. So no, it'll be great to get out in the pool.
Yeah.
But as far as this is concerned, I mean, what a camp, guys.
Pads are until Friday.
Not a boring start for the defending Super Bowl champs. Usually it's kind of quiet, right?
Right.
You don't normally get a bunch of drama or action.
No, Andy wants a quiet camp. That's obviously why he brings them here to Missouri Western State. I haven't crunched the financials.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This tells you how much power and influence, not just the team, but the head coach has. I talked to some officials of the Missouri State, Missouri Western State University. Hey man, y'all making any money off this?
I mean, you would kind of think so.
Well, I know their
What
facilities
are they making
are
in
nice
facility
because
upgrades?
The facilities.
But what about the last couple?
Ooh, not so much.
My guess is they put in a bid. They want to keep it up here because it's good for the city. The city makes about $5 million every summer.
Yes, that is. They doing a solid for everybody in this area. But no, I don't think the school's making a ton of money.
Man.
And it's like, well, coach wants to be here.
Until Andy retires, this is where they'll be.
This is where we're going to be, y'all.
I know they flirted with some other cities. I know for a fact they flirted with some other
Shout
cities.
out Washburn.
Yeah. We're just going to call it out?
Yeah.
You're just going to say who they talked to?
Yeah.
Damn.
Hey,
I didn't say from who.
How can we get the price down? Call one of the other conference members.
Dude, we've been talking about Royal Stadium stuff for 3 months. It's the same conversation. It'll be the same conversation.
There's no way they're going to Clay County, right? Come on now.
I think it's like a 10% chance. I think it's a small percent, but I think it's
look,
a 10% chance.
As a constituent.
Never say never in the stadium.
As a constituent, don't do me like that. Nothing against Clay County, but I don't want to be up there to watch some baseball.
Well, I guess I'll be fine. Honestly, I'd rather be downtown too. That's the thing.
Right, sorry. Yeah.
I'd rather be downtown too. That's like I feel like they got real upset with me yesterday because I compared Clark Hunt and the way he wanted to do the stadium to my brother's dog near the end of his life. So his dog was like 12 years old and had like they had to decide it's going to be a 3-legged dog. Are we doing this? We spent $1,000. How long are we going to keep this dog alive for? That's Clark about the stadium, and you know it. When he says we got 25 years left, he is pretty much just saying like, hey man, if I ask for all this money just to keep it alive, it's just because I want to. It's not because it's the right, like.
But because it's the right business decision.
No, it's not the right business decision at that point. The right business decision would be to get a different stadium.
Yes, and I heard you guys talk about what Mark Donovan said. And
he was ducking it.
Mark Donovan was like, hey, I mean, it's possible, but that's cement. I mean, if something were to happen when no one was around, when can the Royals get out? Like Mark Donovan's like,
they're straight
when can they get out so that I can convince Clark and the rest of the family we're going to stay on site, we're going to bulldoze this thing.
We're going to put all these old things that give it the homage to Arrowhead.
Yes.
Don't worry, we'll protect you.
Like, Lamar will be proud because we've taken the next step in the legacy of the franchise, but we got to get them out of here. Like,
we need space.
Yeah. So
this is a roommate when you're 27. You're like, you got to go. I can't be living with someone ever. Gold hasn't had a roommate since he was in college.
Thank God.
Smart man. It's always that weird thing where you're like, her again? I thought we was done with her. You know I don't like her. Like
I just show him back up. You're like,
come on.
Selfishly, as someone that obviously is a Kansas City sports fan my whole life, I want a chance at a Final Four. I want a remote chance at a Super Bowl. In order for that to happen, you need to build a brand new stadium that has a retractable roof, and I don't think it's worthwhile using, $1 billion in public money to put, like Cody was saying, essentially, all that money into an old building that who knows in 25 years after that you're going to have to actually move. So why not, while you got Mahomes, while you got the rings, while you're the team in the league, go all in and go do what you need to do. That, to me, is still what I think ultimately happens. On the field, though, as you were alluding to, it's been an interesting first week.
Yeah.
Already. Let's start with Tony. Then I want to get to your reporting on Chris Jones because you're the guy to talk to when it comes to where things stand and who's going to really flinch first when it comes to this standoff, if you will. But Tony, Andy Reid telling us, of course, a short while ago that it looks like a torn meniscus and some cartilage getting cleaned up.
Or partially
torn.
To the point where you just say, look, man,
get it repaired.
It's not going to get better. So, and based on where we are in the calendar, which is what Andy said too, you might as well just do it now because, I think my perspective after listening to all that today is it's really about from Halloween on. How is Kadarius Toney from Halloween to whatever the end of the season is? Obviously,
he's already getting the Sammy Watkins treatment.
You want to get a postseason run. Look, man, there's a history.
They had Tyreek when they had Sammy, though. That's always the difference here.
Yeah, and look, Travis, as I've written in The Athletic, probably less than a month ago, this might be the last great year of Travis Kelce at age 33, getting ready to be 34. So at least you have Travis Kelce, who, again, no one in the league can guard. But, yeah, there's no need to really rush Kadarius Toney. I know the Chiefs have to say, look, he's determined to start on opening day. But Mr. Gold, why would they do that?
Yeah, way too many games to worry about just week one.
There's the
trying to repeat Super Bowl champion. Yeah, I'm not worried about week one.
Right. There's the potential of having a 20-game, perhaps a 21-game season if you have to play in the wild card round. So, no. Basically while we were off the break, I said, well, maybe he's out there. He gets a nice wave. Super Bowl champ. Hey, can you do some jet sweeps? Just get the eyes moving in one direction and then get off the field. Literally get off the field. Can you be a competent decoy for 2 drives?
When we look at who this impacts, we know that the 3 names this impacts Richie James, Sky Moore, and Rashee Rice the most.
Yep.
But my argument is that Sky Moore is the one we will judge the harshest for this. Because Rashee Rice will be like, he's the rookie.
Yep.
Richie James, we can always be like, well, he was who he was, and he just proved to us he's a 500-yard receiver, and that's fine.
Yep.
And Sky Moore would be like, where is it? Where's the step? Where's the leap? You got tons of targets. Last year was like, oh, no opportunity. Well, there's plenty of opportunity.
Yep.
That's not the argument. You're in year 2, so you're more comfortable than Rashee. We're very quickly going to turn the sights on Sky Moore on that.
And he's their slot receiver.
He looks good.
He looks really good. But he's their slot receiver. I know it was funny yesterday. Sky was like, I don't want to know. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out my role. And I was sitting there like, dude, you are a slot. Come on, man.
They taught him everything, but he should play slot.
He probably should play slot most often. Yes, you can use him on the perimeter. He can be that gadget guy in the backfield if you want to have some fun trickeration. We've seen him in the backfield with, Jarrett McKinnon taking some wildcat sort of RPO action type things. But, yeah, it's amazing that Sky Moore went from being like, hey, man, just trust us to, okay, here's the opportunity. And this is partly why the team didn't go after DeAndre Hopkins or Odell Beckham or even, Alan Thielen, because they have such a young tandem. And this was even before, obviously, Rice came aboard in the draft. But they have such a young tandem in Toney and Sky Moore that they really wanted to see what the potential of what both of them can do. And so now this really accelerates the process for all the guys you mentioned. But most importantly, Sky Moore, who has durable hands. He doesn't have to worry about punt returns.
Get that off his plate.
Let Richie James do that, and now you can just focus on how do you keep the chains moving if the defense is obviously IDing Travis Kelce in the middle of the field. How can you work off that and win your one-on-one matchups?
The questions and concerns are more than valid, but I do agree with Andy a little bit where, hey, it's July 25th. I do have basically 5 weeks still to figure out, and it may only be for one game, by the way, to figure out how do I, if I had this offense planned around Toney, how do I make these adjustments? And whether that's with Noah Gray, as we were talking earlier in the show, whether that is with any of these receivers, we know they're not just going to run the ball more, okay? We know that's not happening. So,
by the way, they could lose 5 more receivers, and it's not going to be that they run it more.
Exactly. So the question is,
that's fine with me, by the way. They got Patrick Mahomes.
Who in the passing game do they feel like? This isn't a week before the Lions game, and then Toney tore his knee. Tore something in his knee.
It's tricky because. Again, I don't know if the Detroit Lions are listening, watching.
Shout out Dan Campbell.
Shout out to Dan Campbell. It's a lot of 2 tight end sets. I mean,
the Chiefs run more than anyone in the league last year, right?
And I think it's going to increase even more slightly just because if you don't have Tony, if you don't have that explosiveness, then yeah, you can sort of matriculate down the field. You can get sort of creative and versatile. I think the tight ends will matter early on in the season just to get some mismatches. There's a rookie for the Detroit Lions who's a linebacker who I believe was he taken in the first round?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He might want to get in that playbook and watch the film because they're going to put him in all sorts of binds. If he's on the field, if he's one of their.
Is it the Penn State or Iowa linebacker?
I believe he was from Iowa.
I
believe he was from Iowa.
Everyone was like, him?
Jack Campbell, what? So look,
they took Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell, and the whole league's like, what?
I know Jahmyr Gibbs might be fun.
Took the 2 least valuable position in the league. Well, it wasn't inside line. Well, was it inside linebacker?
He could play. He kind of that hybrid.
That's worse. It's like Isaiah Simmons. It doesn't work when
kinda, yeah.
Sometimes you want to have a job.
Do you remember what they did to Isaiah Simmons?
I feel so. He got in the wrong spot because Arizona didn't know how to handle anybody.
Correct.
But they stuck him in no man's land.
I mean,
he had no role, no job, no hope.
And then Kelsey just. I mean, it was clinical what he did to him on opening day last year. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a an option obviously, but the fascinating thing for me is with the Pats coming on Friday, it's going to be even more important now for Donovan Smith and Jawan Taylor to be really solid because you're wanting to give the quarterback protection, but you don't have this dude that you can just give the ball to quickly in space in Kadarius Toney and just know you're getting 6 yards. Where the offensive lineman, it takes less stress off of them. If they want to push the ball down the field, if they want to have these, elongated drives, those 2 guys at the tackle position are going to have to be ready on week 1.
All right, let's get into where things are at with Chris Jones. You reported, according to a source of yours, asking price around $30 million on average per year, which certainly would make sense why we're hearing they're far apart if that's actually the number.
Yep.
Now, look,
that's a big number.
He's got a strong argument. He was the best interior defensive lineman in football last year. He's under the age of 30, right?
Yep.
I mean, you understand why he's asking. We all get that. My question is, at some point, though, if a deal is to get done, A, there's got to be compromise, and B, someone's got to actually be concerned at some point. Like, wait a second. I mean, look, it's now August 15th. Oh, wait a second. Who's that going to be?
And if it's August 15th and he's not even with the team for the first preseason game, which I believe is August 13th.
Right.
Yeah, then I would tell Chiefs fans to start panicking because not necessarily for this season, but for maybe Chris doesn't finish his career as a Chief, which is what he said through the course of his career. Hey, I only want to play for one team, the team that drafted me, the team that gave me a lot of trust by taking me in the second round in 2016, and, of course, the team I've helped win a Super Bowl.
2.
A couple of times. So, I mean, here's my best guess. Are you ready? I have saved this for your show.
All right.
Based on my understanding of where this thing is going. Yes, it's $30 million. You could make a legitimate argument that Chris Jones is already a $30 million player. It's just he hasn't signed a contract that says that. He's better than Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald makes more than $30 million a year.
Right.
He makes $32 million a year.
So the thing is, and this has been the reporting that I've had that has stayed pretty much true from the combine to now is, hey, we're going to do y'all a favor. We're not going to ask for 31. We're not even going to ask for 32. But we want 30. Because my guy is a 2-time Super Bowl champion who's not 30.
He's a first-team All-Pro.
Who's a first-team All-Pro. And I don't know, do you have another dominant pass rusher on your roster? Because I look around and I don't see it. Oh, did you build the entire defense around this guy with all these young players that he wants to be the leader of, that he was the leader of last year?
Did he help be a top 5 sack team in the NFL last year?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
top
2 technically.
Creating turnovers. Did you see the AFC Championship game? Okay, did you see that the only chance y'all had against Jalen Hurts on that 4th and 1 play was when Chris Jones had to jump over everybody to at least try to stop the momentum? It is one of the rare chances, ladies and gentlemen, where I believe the Chiefs will have to concede at some point. There is no other way around it. So as we get to early August, I think it's important for the Chiefs to realize, yes, we have leverage because we're the Super Bowl champs, but also we don't want to franchise tag them because that'll cost too much. I'm sure you guys have discussed that before. You don't want to trade them because
you can't help your team this year.
A couple months ago.
Should have done before the draft.
Are you trying to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
You're going to have to concede. Like, you're going to have to give more than you would for most guys, even Travis Kelce caliber, because Kelce understands that his value is tied to the quarterback. Chris Jones' value is the entire defense up until this point. So I don't know if it'll get to 30. Maybe it's 28. But early August would be my window of he comes to camp, and then the team realizes Daniel Weiss can't be our starting defensive tackle alongside Derek Nottie. He just can't.
Is it? So the deal with Aaron Donald was 3 years.
Yes.
A little older. It's 3 for $96.
Correct.
Would Chris Jones take 3? What's your understanding of the situation? It's 4 or nothing?
It's 4.
Because it was 4 from the beginning in all of our minds. And then when we got to $30 million, I'm like, well, maybe the compromise isn't the amount per year, but the number of years on this damn thing. Because that's another way to negotiate this.
Right, but I don't know if it necessarily helps the Chiefs a ton to do a 3-year deal versus a 4-year deal. And, of course, the part of that that's really fascinating is I would tell you, Alex, hey, we're gonna get you 30. I don't know how quickly we can get to that in the 3rd year. The 1st year, the number is not going to be big because we're going to give them cap relief.
This sounds like how the Athletic would negotiate with you. Like, hey, we're going to get you to your number. We'll get you there in year 3.
What about year 2, my guy? Yeah. You are surprisingly on the mark, Mr. Tapp.
I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty close how radio goes to.
Yeah, we don't get a number in year 1. It takes a couple years in that thing to get there.
Yeah, why don't we keep incentivizing you? Why don't you get that in year 2? Why don't you?
We're gonna get you to that number. Just
we're gonna get you
right
to that
away.
number, but like, come on, help us out. So look, this happens.
What's funny to him, he's like, I'm at 30 now.
Right.
My number right now is 30. What do you mean get me there eventually? I'm already being paid that.
So, okay, if we're going to talk about 28, 29, 30, but then it's got to be 4 years. And look, man, you might not get a ton of it in that 3rd year. We're going to backload the hell out of it, which means that 4th year is basically funny money. You never touching it. And so I think that's the real issue. Publicly, you could say, I'm a $30 million player. Tyreek Hill got to do the thing last
The same with Orlando Brown Jr. They tried to make him the highest paid average annual tackle in the league.
Yes.
But when the numbers came out, you and I both know it was nothing like that. It wasn't even anywhere close to that.
Tyreek ain't touching a single dime on that last year of the deal. No. But it did give him a nice signing bonus. It gave him the status in the league that he wanted as the best receiver who is paid at the highest at his position. And so Chris isn't even asking for that, but you do understand that, hey, if we give you 30, we got outs in year 3, and you definitely not getting to year 4.
Is there any scenario now, because Cody and I went back and forth on this, where I said, hey, if they really thought they couldn't get a deal done and they were worried that Quentin Williams' number would impact their decision and all this, to me they would have shopped him in April. Is there any scenario between now and the start of the season where it gets to a point where they really can't compromise and they actually make some phone calls around the league?
I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can do that because of the locker room. I'm not even talking about salary cap and roster construction and picks for.
You're the defending Super Bowl champ.
Yes, and you're the best dude on the defense by far. You have 3 leaders on defense, right? You have, and the great thing about the Chiefs is they built it the right way. You have a leader at all 3 levels. You have Justin Reed, you have Nick Bolton, and you have Chris Jones. Problem is, Chris Jones is the only dude who gets consistent pressure on the quarterback on the roster.
Unless you count the last 6 games of KARLAFTIS, in which he was a top 15 pass rusher. But look, I mean,
I need to see it a whole year, though.
How many double teams has Chris taken and impacting KARLAFTIS? I mean, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, so, I need to see it another year with KARLAFTIS, who had a great rookie season. There are no complaints about his development. But, yeah, like, you can't even pick up the phone because I get the sense that if you do that, teams will want to get out there and just say, hey, we might be getting Chris Jones, which will disrupt your own locker room.
Honestly, it's funny. It reminds me of like the Royals a couple weeks ago when one rumor got out that a team was like, oh, no, pretty much a team was out there being like, oh, no, we called on Salvi. And then it came out on the side of the Royals, which is they're shopping Salvi. And J.J. McCoy's like, that's not how this went. We didn't shop anything. A team called and asked about Salvador Perez.
No, that's exactly how it went. We trying to get an all-star. We trying to get to the pennant, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, put the word out there. We're trying to get Salvi, who, by the way, needs to be traded. I mean, to be honest, he is carrying them this past week, and it amounts to.
I love Salvi.
It amounts to like a couple
Still
games.
should trade him.
But yeah, you should trade him. You should still.
No one
trade
out
him.
here's arguing that.
Yeah. I mean,
we got the trade deadline on Tuesday. I'll be interested to see how active they are.
Listening to the post-game show, Vern was like, hey, that's his 200th home run as a Royals catcher. And I was like,
There are only 10 catchers in Major League Baseball history with that many homers.
He's already a Hall of Famer. He's going to be in a Hall of Fame.
Hope you're right.
In your cap. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame in your cap. It's time, dog. It's time. It's been
Go get
great.
that man another World Series ring, and he's really going to have a much better.
Well, that's the thing, because I don't think Salvi's in the Hall of Fame yet. But if you want to get him to Cooperstown, he needs to go to a contender and get another ring, or have another memorable postseason at the very least.
I think those 2 years in 14 and 15, and the consistency and the durability.
Yachty gets in, it'll really.
You never know with baseball voters anyway. So you know
who
what?
Doesn't love Salvador Perez?
He is liked. That helps.
Like, who doesn't love this man? Like he is like, I know he had the injury at the midway point of his career, sort of after 2015. God, I love talking about the Royals, even though I do not cover them. But like,
you like baseball still?
I love baseball. My son is like intoxicated by the sport because it is a great sport. But like, you know, I tell my son we have two players. Their names are Salvador Perez and Bobby Witt Jr.
How dare you do our guy Vinny like that? He's hurt right now, so it's fine.
Thank you.
We'll talk next year.
I mean, look, Prado, keep him. Vinny, great. Who's the guy at third base again?
Oh, Maikel Garcia.
Oh, Maikel
yeah, for sure.
Garcia. I mean,
I've been enjoying his play this year.
He the one of the dudes that actually know what he's doing on defense. But like, do we have an outfielder? Like a outfielder, like a single dependable everyday outfielder. Don't tell me it's not MJ.
Well, no. The only guy I'm even hinting at would be Waters, but he's not consistent at the plate.
And he's still relatively young too, so I will give him the benefit of the doubt. But no, like
little Royals talk about that guy.
How about that?
It's time. It's time to trade Salvi. I'm ready to hug and cry with him.
Nate Taylor from The Athletic, great insight on everything, not just the Chris Jones situation.
Hug watch across baseball.
All of that.
I want to hug Salvi just one more time, Lord, and then you can ship him off to where would you send to?
Miami.
If
the
I want him to go?
Marlins have lost like 7 or 8 in a row, or they did prior to the last couple of days. So.
I want to
Salvi in South Beach.
Look, he's got no trade clause. He's got
a place there. He might
10-5
like
rights or whatever they call it.
Like, I'm not saying Baltimore, not after that Dunce versus Chessmaster stuff. I like lovable losers, teams that are surprising winners.
Can we get JJ on the phone?
Yeah, let's call him up right now.
Call him right now.
Yeah, we'll get that taken care of.
JJ will be on the show next Wednesday after they've made all these trades.
Or don't make any, and then we're like, what the hell's going on? One of the two things is going to happen. Nate Taylor from The Athletic. Great stuff and insight as always. We continue to broadcast here in St. Joe, our training camp coverage brought to you by St. Joseph Convention and Visitors Bureau. Be a part of history by attending Chiefs training camp. Learn more at stjomo.com. Up next, we'll get back into thinking of the Royals, what John Sherman said earlier this morning to Bob Fesco and Josh Klingler as he penned that letter to Royals fans. And a heck of a weekend at the box office for 2 movies. We do that next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold.
He's so good, and everyone knows it.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
It's never too late to change careers, and you can do that right now over at Centric.com/610. You've always been interested in technology, so why not start looking at classes that start at the end of July? You can sign up now and start looking for those career growth opportunities with better benefits, more flexible schedules, and put that GI Bill or other funding to use so you can finally be in a career you're proud of. Go to Centric.com/610 and see my guy Russ Mondry and find out what they can do for you.
What makes for a great vacation? Depends on who you ask. Are you looking to get away or bring everyone together? Do you want to get outside and play or see a play at the plate? Fortunately, however you operate, I'm the destination you've been looking for. The name's Missouri, but you can call me Mo. And I have just one question. What's your MO? Come see me at visitmo.com.
It's time to get started on those outdoor summer projects. Here's James and Josiah of American Topsoil.
Your George Karlaftis clip is 11 minutes and 11 seconds.
Soil this summer.
If you're bumping over stubborn tree roots while mowing the grass, or you find yourself watching your step because of those ankle-twisting holes in the yard, there's a good chance you need some topsoil.
Another important reason folks are calling us this summer is to add topsoil around their foundation.
James, how do I know if I need topsoil around my foundation?
Just as the roof of your home is sloped, the same rule of thumb applies to your foundation. The soil around your house should drain water away to prevent water and structural damage.
Guys, the message is Topsoil solves lots of problems from your backyard to your front to your foundation. And American Topsoil can get it done for you fast.
Give us a call at 913-888-SOIL.
Or online at americantopsoil.com.
Check out their Power Wheelbarrow service where you only pay for the soil that you need. Call 913-888-SOIL or online at americantopsoil.com.
Tailgates and turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey is always a winner. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot.
It's too hot to cook. Make it easy with Old Shawnee Pizza and their Tuesday special. Any single topping pizza is just $12.99. That's right, only $12.99. Call or go to OldShawneePizza.com to order. Old Shawnee Pizza. 2 locations, Shawnee and Lenexa.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Are you working way too hard for way too little? There's never been a better time to consider a career in IT. You could enjoy a recession-resistant career in a rewarding field with plenty of growth opportunities and often flexible work environments. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. You could start your new career in months, not years. Take classes online or on campus, and financial aid is available to qualified students, including the GI Bill. Now is the time. mycomputercareer.edu.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands to treat ED at up to 95% off. That's right, the same active ingredient as the brand name for 95% less. It's the same ED medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Miss anything while you were at work? Every show is available on demand at 610sports.com and the Odyssey app. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City. WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
1 o'clock hour here in St. Joe at Missouri Western State University. We're live in the Ag Power broadcast tent. Score big this year with your home team, John Deere dealer, Ag Power. Visit agpower.com for more. Final hour today from camp. Still no pads. They were in shells today. Pads get on Friday. Thanks to Nate Taylor and Pete Sweeney for joining us. Also, we were joined by George KARLAFTIS a little bit earlier on in the show, exclusively here from Chiefs camp. It was great to catch up with him. And you'll hear that conversation again coming up around 1:30. He told us really who's taking on the role right now of Chris Jones, not having Chris here. Obviously, in the offseason, he worked with Tamba Ali. Those are some of the things we discussed. And it turns out not an Oppenheimer Barbie fan, or at least not going to try to go see it. So he'll tell us why coming up at 1:30 or so.
Surprising, honestly. I figured – I haven't seen either yet, but I know I will.
Yeah, well, at least I'll see Oppenheimer. I think one day I'll see Barbie, but I'm not going to the theaters.
I got to figure out which thing I'm going to cash in the I'm away from the house for 2 hours even though my wife still has a broken ankle thing. I got to play – I can only play that so many times because she still needs a lot of help around the house, Gold. So I got to – if I'm going to do it, it's got to be worth it. And I'm not doing it for Oppenheimer for 4 hours.
3. That preview's 3.5.
Dude, it's too much. I got to wait on that one. I got to wait till she's a little healthier, getting around a little better before I cash the favor. I might go to Kelly's with Pete tomorrow. Because he's invited me to meat bingo. So
as in meat?
Like M-E-A-T. As in if you win bingo, you can win like a slab of ribs.
Oh, you're not meeting people.
No.
You're
meat.
Meat.
Try to win meat. What do you think? Come on, man. You tell me you wouldn't cook some ribs this weekend if you had a slab?
It sounds intriguing. I was going to actually say, since we are off a little early tomorrow, I was thinking during the day it might be my time to go see Oppenheimer tomorrow during the day.
That's not a bad idea.
Sneak in a matinee after we got some work stuff. So we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, record-setting $155 million opening for Barbie and Oppenheimer with an $80 million
Pretty
debut.
good weekend for the movie theaters.
Earlier this morning, you probably saw in your inbox, if you're one of the subscribers to the Royals newsletter, you bought tickets to the Royals ever, basically, or if you've been on social media, you saw that Royals owner and CEO John Sherman sent out a letter to Royals fans today. He also joined Bob and Josh on Fesco in the morning. We'll play some of that in just a second, but your thoughts just in general on what you saw from the letter, because I'll admit there wasn't a ton of new information. It just laid out a more of a plan of what's to come and also re-emphasized some of the points that I'm guessing they viewed were the most important or maybe were or weren't getting the most traction. For example, I mean, it highlights and says that in the next 30 days, we plan to share an overview of the ballpark district, including the broad benefits of the 2 sites under construction. One in Jackson County, one in Clay County. We are putting both sites through an equally rigorous process. We look forward to unveiling detailed renderings and many other components that will help us compare the broad benefits of both sides. I told you earlier, I'm surprised we're actually going to get full-blown renderings for both sides. I want to see what even though I'm pro downtown more than North KC.
You still want to see what it looks like.
I still am intrigued by this whole, we'll recreate this, which you're not going to, but Wrigleyville in North KC around in North KC Stadium. So I want to see what that looks like. You know, I'm a fan of renderings anyway. So yeah, 30 days. Now we know about 30 days from now. So end of August, we should know what the actual ballpark district and the stadium, for the most part,
what their
would
plans
look
are.
like and exactly kind of what they have in mind. And that's exciting to me because whether you think it's going to be in Clay County or downtown, that's the next step you got to get to.
And you can say, hey, the battery. Okay,
Yeah.
so someone's got to go to Google, look up the images. They've never been to that area. Like if you're from KC, it's much more easier to visualize a rendering that is of those areas that gives you some idea of what it looks like versus how many people have been to the Battery in Atlanta, how many people have been to Wrigleyville in Chicago. It's not saying they haven't. You've been there. I've been there. But it doesn't – I haven't been to the Battery.
Yeah.
I've seen a photo of it. But to visualize it in your own town means this. I think the point of this letter, he was trying to get across, again, that he is a Kansas City guy. This is great for Kansas City. It's good for the long run in Kansas City. And the reason to do this is because it will benefit economically the city across the board, and they're making a massive investment, we swear. Because they keep mentioning the $1 billion, which fine, they should. They are making a massive public investment or a private investment into the city. They just want their money. The problem, and I'm not surprising they do. It's not going to fix their, it's not going to make them a more competitive team immediately. It's not going to do those things. Because he emphasized that too. We still care about winning here, and I'm investing a lot. I swear this is for the good of the city. I think that's a good messaging to go behind.
Yeah, look, people
but it didn't say a lot more today. It's just John Sherman's still trying to stay ahead of it.
I still think overall that most people have made up their minds, okay?
Yeah.
And
what can swing it, though?
And so, whether that was the greatest letter ever written and provided every answer you wanted, there's still some people I think
who don't want to move it.
Yeah. And that's fine. But again, that's everybody's right, and it'll have a chance at some point to go to a vote. I mean, it's no secret. You guys have listened to the show long enough since we've been talking stadium. You know where Cody and I both stand on downtown baseball. Obviously, we both are in support of it. And doesn't mean that is the only way to view it. But I certainly am excited about the idea of downtown baseball. And if you're not excited about it, and you think the K is fine, then yeah, there probably was nothing again in the letter that was going to change your mind, and that's fine. But I'm just saying, like, I don't think if you went in the letter and thinking he was gonna win you over, and that means it was a bad letter because he didn't win you over, I don't think that's how you should approach it. That's not really a fair way to judge it. There wasn't a ton of new information, but I think you're right. At the beginning of the letter, the first 2 paragraphs, it took to paragraph 4 or 5 before he started talking about
renderings and the $1 billion.
But the first 3 paragraphs, I think there was clearly an intention and effort. He tells the story of a fan and the history and
of meeting Dick Hauser's widow.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, trying to connect that he's a baseball guy and a Kansas City guy, and that in his mind, getting a new stadium, whether it's downtown or in Clay County at the North KC site, is important to him because he wants to retain baseball in Kansas City long after he owns the team. And I think that is something they tried to get across again. I felt like they did during the town hall, but maybe it got misconstrued and people freaked out when he used the word sell the team as if he was going to get a new stadium and flip the team. Spoiler alert.
He just meant he wanted to stay in Kansas City when it got sold 20 years from now.
Exactly. And
it's also in the 70s.
When he bought the team and this ownership group bought the team, other than it being Kansas City that was so attractive, is knowing when they bought the team, they knew they were going to put together a plan for a stadium project. That's part of the intrigue and the investment. And someone mentioned on the text line 913-586-7610, he's not making an investment. He's taking out a loan. Okay, if we're gonna play, what are we talking about? $1 billion, whether they have a business.
I made an investment in my house, even though I have a mortgage.
Yeah, what are we talking? That's like, I'm sorry, that's just ludicrous.
That's how life works. Who has just $1 billion lying around?
That's nuts to me. Anybody that's
he's definitely taking out a loan. No,
of course. He's also got an ownership group and other partners and other partners. Like that doesn't matter.
By the way, now that we have the video stream here, and we're just out here on our own, I kind of want to see hit the sled. I could take the camera out there,
chance.
Get a person. What? You won't hit the sled? This one here on the end?
No, there's no chance that I think it's not going to move.
You don't think it'll move? You don't think it could move it 1/2 inch? Do you think they get mad at us?
I don't know. It's day 1 of camp. Should we do it day 1?
Well, we can't do it the last day because it'll be packed up.
Is there anybody around?
No. Hold on. I feel like I hear one more.
Oh, there's a guy standing right there in the middle of the damn field.
What's that guy doing?
I don't know.
He just looks like he's milling around. I don't like that he's there.
He's on a phone, too. He's on speakerphone.
We're definitely going to need a day when someone can't see us. Although, realize that we're talking about putting it on video, right?
I know.
So there would be evidence of you briefly hitting this sled. I want to see if you can move it.
I'll do
it
right
here.
Not when the guy's on the field. If you one of these, we got 13 other shows or whatever, I'll do it one of the days. I promise you.
Okay.
That.
I'll do it too if you will.
I'll commit to that, but not when there's someone from the Chiefs standing right there. Anyway.
And we don't know how important it is.
Someone,
it could turn out he's like vice president of something important.
Who knows?
Or it could just be like one of the other guys helping keep the field up. Who knows? He's in a long sleeve. Makes me think he works inside sometimes.
The other part, someone was asking, do you actually think they're considering the 2 sides? The fact they're going through the renderings is obviously a serious indication, but I'm with you that ultimately I think they end up downtown at the East Village location. I think it is somewhat of a leverage play to have Clay County involved. I think we recognize that, but the example we keep giving over and over is nobody thought Sporting Kansas City, the Wizards at the time, were going to not go to the Bannister site. They, of course, did. So I think you asked Nate, you guys were talking about percentages, and I'm with you. It's like a 10 or 15% chance that it's Clay County. So it's not impossible, but yes, I would. If I was betting on a site, I would put all my money on the East Village site, not the Clay County site.
Yeah, if they forced you, especially if they gave you even odds. But Gold, if they gave you 10-1 that it's Clay County, or 1-1 and you had to bet $5,000 of somebody else's money, what do you do then? You take the guaranteed 5, or do you take the chance that it's 10% chance that, the Royals end up there? Here's the truth. They will consider that site. I don't even think they're hiding it. They clearly prefer the East Village location. Like, I don't even think they're trying. If they're trying to hide it, they're not doing a very good job. I don't even think they're trying to hide it. They've said they're not as far along. They've talked about all the ideas. They talked about why they wanted downtown baseball. But from the beginning, they hedged their bet by saying near downtown. They were always trying to give themselves a little bit of buffer there just in case.
John Sherman, as I mentioned, was on this morning with Fesco in the Morning. And Q, if we've got it back in the studio, he was asked about how the stadium will impact payroll. Because, right, that's the concern. Like, all right, you're telling us you're going to do this. You're going to put more money on the team. How will it actually impact payroll? This was his answer.
And you really threw me up there. Give me.
All right, we'll try to.
As it relates to payroll, I've been talking to JJ a lot about this as we kind of go through the season we're in. We just came through the draft. We got the trade deadline coming up, but we're already talking about this off season, and so we're certainly not going to wait till we have a new stadium in place before we make sure we add some of the pieces that we need. That we're currently finding out as we kind of work through this season of evaluation.
I mean, that's what I wanted to hear.
Well, I told you that was my biggest fear. Is like, we'll spend when we get this new stadium. Be like, well, I don't want to wait 8 years.
Right. I think that's.
I want money now.
They got to do it, right? They got to back it up. But I mean, that should be an answer that you like hearing if you're. When you're looking at, all right, revenue in the future, yes, with the ballpark district and how much of that is going to go on the team, but you need to also, before the vote, I think it's important as well, show that you are willing to spend some money. Not just on keeping staff around during COVID, which was great, but on the baseball team. A team that's going to potentially have the most losses in franchise history, unfortunately, is chasing a terrible record of maybe the most in baseball history if things continue, although the Royals won last night.
Yeah, they did.
They get the
Guardians. They're not going to set the record for worst team in baseball history.
I hope not. But I do think that was important for him to say. Now let's see if they actually go do it this offseason, which is spending some money. All right, they're obviously not getting Shohei Ohtani. Let's calm down. But what can they actually?
That'd be cool.
That'd be amazing. What can they do? But the Angels, freaking trade him. I want Ohtani in the postseason, please. Get his ass out of the Angels organization. Get yourself some prospects and go let him go play for the Orioles or somebody, I don't know, wherever, to actually go play in the postseason this year.
The fact that we don't get Shohei Ohtani in the postseason is offensive. He's the single most exciting baseball player in the history of the sport. I demand that you let us see him in high-leverage situations where he's both starting a Game 7 and hitting third for the team that he's getting ready to do it in. But, yeah, I mean, a lot of this is Gold to me. Like, and you say, like, hey, maybe the letter didn't say anything. And that's something I actually needed to hear. I needed John Sherman to at least admit, because I get it. It's like we're going to spend money when we're good, like when the team needs it. Well, the team needs it. And I know that we always try to think of like, well, the best time to spend money is when you're close to competing for the playoffs. Not if you're this bad. You actually have to spend some money to get your hell out of this cellar, to get yourself out of this stage. If you are this bad, you have to spend to get out of being this bad. You can't just wait around for years to try to get good. If you are stuck at like 65, 70 wins and you're like, give me a year, let me see this team develop a little bit, then I'll spend the money when we need to. That makes sense. But when you are one of the worst teams in baseball, no. You got to spend yourself out of this problem a little bit, continue to let people develop, and then spend more when the team is ready to compete. I like that answer from John. I don't know if I'm going to – I'm still leery that a new stadium means more payroll, means they'll be able to compete because baseball economics are kind of screwy.
And who knows what it looks like in 2027 or 2028. The sport, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the makeup of it and where things are at.
They had a big jump this year.
Again, so in the next 30 days, expect to see renderings, detailed renderings, and more information on both sites. We're not going to find out in 30 days which site, which I was hoping for. Maybe we'll have to wait till the end of September for that.
By the way, it seems like if you were worried that like Chris Jones was like all on his own this year, there is a massive list of big-name players who are not showing up to camp without a new deal. So Chris Jones, Josh Jacobs, now Kyle Shanahan says he doesn't expect Nick Bosa to practice at all unless he gets a new contract. And there was one more I saw earlier who's not going to show up. I mean, it's the same thing. It's like everyone's like Zach Martin for the Cowboys. It's like
offensive lineman.
Pay me and I'm not coming. So it is kind of seemingly going throughout the league right now. These guys that are like,
well, it's the time. It's the time to do it. it's training camp. It's the time to do it. It's the time to get paid, and you have a little bit of leverage if you're these players because as we were talking with Nate, one side eventually gets nervous.
Yeah.
They both have to compromise to get deals done, but one side eventually will blink before the other.
And in this case, the Chiefs should be way more nervous than Chris Jones.
Yeah, that's you could probably make arguments over both sides, but I would tend to agree considering how this team is built for this year. But on Chris's side, right, the argument is, well, all right, what are you going to do, sit out the entire season and not make any money? You're right. There's both sides, right? I mean, you can make arguments on each side. I'm with you. I think the team in this case will have to be the one to do it.
No, but he's going to be like, enjoy watching me for this entire year and then thinking about what your defense is going to be like without me on it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the argument on that side.
You're not getting the deal done.
Yeah. On the other side, if you're Chris Jones, I mean, if you're trying to, let's say, get paid by somebody else next offseason because you don't get a deal done,
you still got to play.
You got to play this year. Yeah. You can't, So and then and you also know that if I play this year, there's a risk of injury. This is what you got to weigh on both ends. There's pros and cons. This is why,
unless you're a running back, in which case just take the money they offer you, accept your poor fate of being a running back in the NFL with absolutely no hope.
We continue to broadcast here at Chiefs training camp, and of course, we're in the Ag Power broadcast tent where you can score big this year with your home team, John Deere dealer, Ag Power. Visit agpower.com for more. Coming up in about 20 minutes or so, you'll hear our conversation with George KARLAFTIS. He stopped by after practice. Each and every practice, we have a different member of the Chiefs stop by exclusively and talk with us. We asked George about year 2 and what the expectation is. You asked him kind of about the sack numbers and what is he able to potentially do this season. You'll hear his answer to that coming up in just a little bit. I know you love a certain Chiefs uni combo, though. I know you do.
Well,
I know you do, but man,
it's the best look.
Now look,
white on white is their best look.
It's a clean look. I'll take the championships over the throwback unis, but I'll admit
jealous.
I like seeing. Now the Colts ones look like they're BYU or my high school.
No.
Shout out to Lathan Northwest. But
those are bad.
Every team but the Chiefs seemingly is having newer throwback uniforms. All I want. I don't even need.
And so many of them rule, dude. The
Cody.
Oilers one's great. The Eagles one's great.
The Seahawks one's cool. The 90s.
The Broncos white-capped helmets today's looked good.
All I need, though, I don't even need a throwback because we've seen them wear the Dallas Texans helmet before.
Yeah.
I just want a matte helmet for crying out loud. Please, if somebody's listening, we know you're listening, Chiefs. Matte helmet. I just need a matte helmet. Black with red trim, preferably, but a matte helmet, please. That's all I want.
Why not like different shades of red altogether and just ditch
different
the yellow
shades
from
of
it?
red?
Like red on red, right? But change the helmet color. Get rid of the striping.
Oh.
Change it a little bit.
Here's the other little thing, and maybe we got to ask.
You look like a ketchup bottle? Is that like the Color Rush one?
Yeah.
Is it bad for colorblind people? What's the version of this we can't serve?
Maybe this is an equipment
I'm just
question.
jealous. It's not their fault. I'm just jealous because I see all these cool ones.
I still don't know why the Chiefs are the only team in the front of the helmet. We've talked about this before. The front of the helmet, every other team has their logo or whatever, and the Chiefs just have a blank, like on Mahomes' helmet. It's just that the spot where clearly there's supposed to be a logo or something, and it's just white. It drives me crazy. Why? What's the reason? They're the only team that doesn't have it say the arrowhead or say Chiefs. It's you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly.
The front, I don't know what you would call that. That rubber.
I have
that
never
rubber,
noticed that.
That rubber piece right there in the crown of the helmet, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've never noticed. Aren't you jealous a little? Like, don't you see those? Like, did you see the Broncos ones today?
I did not, honestly. Let me pull
it's
it
a
up.
good-looking helmet, man.
Is
you
it
can
on
hate
there?
the Broncos, but it's a good-looking helmet.
I do hate the Broncos. Let me see.
It's fine to hate the Broncos. Nobody's blaming you for that.
Broncos. Denver at Broncos Twitter handle. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's a good-looking helmet.
Well, they got something going for them. They took the photo. They got snow and mountains in the backdrop. It adds to it. You know?
Yes, of course it does. It adds to the entire vibe. They're calling it like it's
cool.
It's snow.
Problem is that logo reminds me of John Elway, which makes me want to vomit. So
yeah, but that's a personal preference.
Yeah.
That's not just how the helmet looks. If you take out your argument, you know that helmet looks good. You and I both know that it looks good. I don't even know. This is the worst part about these conversations is because this is maybe the absolute heyday, I feel like, of off seasons, of uniform stuff, because everyone's doing their best versions of their throwbacks, right? You got the creamsicle for Tampa Bay. The Eagles are wearing their old throwbacks. We've seen the full white Jets unis that are getting worn against the Chiefs in Week 4, and I'm like, it's just hit after hit after hit, and I'm like, damn it! It's just red on red, white on white, white on red or red on white. Those are the only 4 choices, and I get nothing in between.
I don't know if they're ever going to change, though, based on what you know.
Clark has said that he cares about the old.
I unfortunately don't think it's really going to happen anytime soon. I mean, I don't think it's happening anytime soon where we see a change.
No, just not going to do it, huh?
Too old school. To me, you change it when you build the new stadium. Just go ahead and change everything at that point.
Okay. I still think that, I mean, I don't know. The problem is that when I try to, like, when I've seen the ones that people Photoshop, they all look terrible. They always have black. It's always, they always want black.
I don't need the black uni. I just need the black helmet. The black Chiefs matte helmet. You know what I'm talking. You've seen it, right?
I don't think so.
That
Can you
look.
wear that? But can you wear that helmet
with a white uni? Why not?
I'd have to be all white,
sure,
like icy white, right?
On a Thursday night football game at Arrowhead? Come on.
Come
on.
I mean, look, I'll take it. I don't care.
Black mat, all red Arrowhead, white uniform, or white pants and everything. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Be all about it.
You know,
all about it. I don't need the black or yellow jerseys. Heck no. That's terrible.
If you add too much yellow to the black, it's not a good look. You got to be careful. If you go to the black, you got to get rid of the yellow.
Always some Chiefs fans wearing that uni that they've never worn before, but the fans still wear them.
They like it, man.
They sell them. So
you think you
buy
can
it.
only buy jerseys of like ones that the Chiefs actually wore? That leaves you with just white or red and no other choice.
Yes, Cody. I think the jersey fans should buy would be the ones that they've actually worn before. Yes.
We've all seen the same one that the same guy's wearing from the 1990s. That is that black one. The black one with the big, thick yellow stripe on it, and then the white, and you're like,
oh, yeah.
It's not a good jersey. It's just not a good jersey. Because, like, the Royals did the City Connect one, brand new, fresh jersey, out of nowhere. It's sharp. It's really grown on me. I'm not saying the Chiefs have to do it all the time, but one alternate. I think they got to go fresh. Like, one alternate that they've never worn before. They just do something different one time for one jersey. I think it's way more fun that way than we'll add some more yellow or we'll add some more black or whatever other color they want to go with.
I think we're going to be waiting a while. For that.
Yeah, probably true.
Coming up next, we'll get to what's trending as we continue broadcasting live here in St. Joe. First day of practice for us up here. Pads right around the corner on Friday for this football team. But up next, in addition to what's trending, you're going to hear our conversation with George KARLAFTIS. He told us his expectation here in 2023 and what's it like out there without Chris Jones.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
You talk on the radio. Yeah. You're a fanboy.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Think about it. It's not even August yet, which means by the time the new year rolls around, Gold, you could be in a brand new career thanks to Centric Training. Just by going to centric.com/610, you can find out all those career in IT. We've seen them today. I had to call the IT guy today because the Wi-Fi wasn't working well.
Yeah, if you're passionate about technology and you're looking for a quick change, you can sign up for classes at Centric. By the end of this month, classes start. By the end of August, some more classes start as well. If you're interested in AI, we're hearing so much about AI. It's a great area of focus along with cybersecurity and coding. That's one of the many paths you can go down. Just go to centric.com/610.
You just know that there's so much career growth in these because IT changes and they change with it, which means they're going to get you ready for these jobs like you'd mentioned, whether it be Amazon Web Services or others, so you can stay up to date in a very career demand heavy. Their job is to get you a job is the way they look at it. They want to make sure you're in your new career and in it in as little as 4 months.
So talk to our friend Russ over at Centric. He'll explain everything to you. He'll break it all down. He's our great friend. What you think you should give him a call or go online to centric.com/610.
Is your current business fire alarm system complex? Keller Fire and Safety can certainly simplify things with their outstanding service department. With this important goal, keeping your business and employees safe with peace of mind. Keller is locally owned by people with Midwest values who understand local businesses. All decisions are made right here. If you're not happy with your current fire alarm system provider, call Keller. Keller Fire and Safety. KellerFire.com.
We're talking with Dr. David Bach, board-certified urologist at Kansas City Urology Care. Doctor, when it comes to prostate cancer, what makes KCUC the best?
KCUC treats more prostate cancer than anyone else in the metro, and for that matter, in this part of the country.
What does that mean for the patient?
As part of cancer care, the patient will need a urologist, a pathologist, a medical oncologist, and a radiation oncologist. We offer specialists, board-certified specialists, in all those areas on site. It's important to a patient because they want the best possible care with the best possible outcomes with the fewest chances of side effects. Without a doubt, Kansas City Urology Care is the expert in prostate cancer therapy.
See the prostate cancer experts, Kansas City Urology Care. At KCUC, you see the best in KC. To make an appointment, visit appointments.kcurology.com.
Hey, this is Rex with KC Real Estate Buyers, and I buy houses for cash. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, grab a pencil. I'm going to give you a very important phone number in 40 seconds. I'm a private real estate investor. I live right here in KC, and I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at KC Real Estate Buyers, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind-in-payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000. Or go to rexbuyskc.com. That's rexbuyskc.com. And I look forward to working with you.
Tailgates in turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey can be used for succulent sliders, killer kebabs, championship chili, or even brilliant burnt ends. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack worth nearly $2,000, including a portable Traeger grill, Yeti cooler, Chiefs gear, and much more at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot. Come on, KC, turn up your tailgate at tailgatewithturkey.com.
Inspecting a roof for wind damage is a lot different than inspecting for hail damage. With years of hurricane experience in Florida, locally owned JR & Company knows how to find the wind damage from the July 14th storm that hail chasers might miss. Visit jrroofcheck.com.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No, we tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our clients' best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured, so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly, different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Not all water heaters are made equally. Some can be temperamental. Some can be unreliable and don't even think about what happens if you have neighbors downstairs.
Why is it raining inside my apartment?
Not with a Navien tankless water heater. You'll never run out of hot water. You only heat water when you need it, saving you tons in utility costs. Navien tankless water heaters. Visit tanklessmadesimple.com to learn more.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs that will significantly reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. Accredited Debt Relief has helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. For this free information, call 800-786-3400. That's 800-786-3400.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage on 610 Sports Radio is brought to you by Park & Go. Book parkandgo.com.
Getting ready to go on vacation can be stressful. Lucky for us, there's Park & Go. Easy online reservation, free instant shuttles, luggage assistance, and all spots are covered. Reserve your spot today at bookparkandgo.com. The best deals in airport parking. Park & Go, family owned and operated.
What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending. Well, we continue broadcasting live in St. Joe at Chiefs Training Camp, brought to you by Max Motors. Worth the drive from anywhere. Max Motors. KARLAFTIS.com. Number one clearly has to do with Kadarius Toney. Andy Reid today telling us that there's a chance, but we'll see that he's available week one. Obviously not what you want to hear. That's because he underwent knee surgery this morning, not only to clean up some cartilage, but he partially tore his meniscus on that punt return right before practice, turned the wrong way, if you will, Sunday morning. So not what you wanted to hear, but kind of had that idea once Travis Kelce spilled the beans a little bit yesterday, at least kind of giving us a clue of the severity. So at least out all of camp for Kadarius Toney. Won't see him in preseason. And if you got 17 games, there's no reason to force it for week one. So I'm with you where it's like week 2 against the Jags, to me, is the game to watch to see if Toney's available. Obviously, got to step up if you're Richie James, Rashee Rice, Sky Moore, Noah Gray. Big opportunities for these guys throughout camp, starting when they put on pads Friday.
I'll be honest, she's got a bit of a long history with injury stuff that makes you wonder if we're a month into the season and we're still asking if Toney's back. So I hope it doesn't come to that. So for now, I'll choose to be an optimist.
Well, if the young guys are playing well and the team's doing well, then
you won't care.
Yeah,
then you won't care. But I don't feel like I've got a really good handle on when Toney will be back, other than I'm pretty sure it'll be not longer than a month into the season, because those types of surgery just kind of depends on how quickly you heal. Next up on What's Trending, speaking of how quickly you heal, Brock Purdy has been cleared for full activity and training camp, according to head coach Kyle Shanahan. He says he's been fully cleared. He'll be at camp and can participate in all activities.
Okay.
So there was a lot of questions about, after he had his offseason surgery, if he'd be ready to go by the start of the season. He'll be ready to go by the start of camp. He also said that Deebo Samuel, who isn't there yet, said that he is in shape. He's like, don't worry, I'm in shape, and sent him a shirtless photo of himself. That's what he said to his head coach to prove that he's in shape.
Okay.
I mean, he's probably got like a 15-pack, so he's probably okay.
Is Chris Jones sending Andy Reid a shirtless
I like
photo
to think so.
as well? Just
you know what? If we get Chris Jones, if Chris Jones signs tomorrow, we get him on the show at some point, I'm going to ask him.
Next up on What's Trending, on a much more serious note, scary news out at USC, where LeBron James' son, Bronny James, USC All-American, collapsed on the court Monday and went into cardiac arrest. He was taken to the hospital, now in stable condition, no longer in the ICU. That part, of course, is the positive news coming out of this. No new information since then, but just 18 years old, and this is the second USC player in the last calendar year at a basketball practice during a workout that has collapsed. Yeah, really, really scary stuff. You mentioned DeMar Hamlin. Obviously, we all saw what happened on the field in Buffalo, but fortunately, he's stable and no longer in ICU. At some point, they'll determine his, first and foremost, his health right now, but playing future and all that. But
is it a freak thing? Is it congenital? Is it all these other things that'll ask those questions?
Really scary stuff.
Yeah, really scary. And puts into question whether Bronny James will even play at USC this year, I imagine. So we'll just have to wait and see.
I think K-State has USC on the schedule this year out in Las Vegas.
The very first game for USC was going to be against
still will
K-State.
be, but who knows if he's playing.
Yeah, I just meant with Bronny James. Next up on What's Trending, the Raiders have agreed with a 1-year deal with former Chiefs corner Marcus Peters. He never really liked me in town. Although I did like him, so I don't really understand what happened there.
He was fun, man. He was fun.
Well, and here's the thing. It's like he grew up a Raiders fan. He doesn't get to play for him in Oakland, unfortunately. Right. But he was a Raiders kid, so at least he gets to play for not the hometown team anymore. But I'm sure he'll take some sort of sense of pride of wearing silver and black. And honestly, he is the most Raiders-type player. He played like a Raiders player the entire time he was here. He's always causing problems. Causing problems. Never big problems, but playing at a high level, played with a lot of swag, went for the picks, home run. He was a fun player when he was here. There's no doubt about it. Now we'll see what he does for the Raiders.
The other former Chief that signed today, Byron Pringle, now going to play for Eric Bieniemy with the Washington Commanders. So that's two former Chiefs, more special teams type guys. But Byron Pringle and Marcus Kemp are now both in D.C., probably helping instill some of the philosophies.
Is D-Rob still a free agent? Has he called him over there yet?
He signed with somebody, didn't he?
I think.
But Pringle and Marcus Kemp are now on the Commanders. Lastly, on What's Trending, Royals in action tonight, trying to get their second win in a row. Remember, they have not won 3 in a row at all this year. They're going for 2 in a row when they take on the Guardians. Zach Greinke looking for his second win on the season when they take on the Guardians. You can hear the game right here, 610 Sports Radio. Of course, Vern's On Deck show gets you set for it right before.
Lastly, on What's Trending, the Pro Bowl is heading back to Orlando. Remember, they switched to the skills contest. I always think it's funny to be like, MLB All-Star Game viewership, and it'll be like just barely more than the Pro Bowl or less than the Pro Bowl, and they'll be like, see? I'm like, that doesn't prove anything. People will watch the NFL under any circumstance. That's why they keep trying to have this stupid thing. They know it's dumb. They know nobody likes it. They know they just get mocked for it. But they're like, well, we can't just not put it on TV. Tens of millions of people watch it. So they're just stuck. I don't care that it's in Orlando, fine. I probably won't watch it like I did last year.
Yep. Usually it's because we're getting ready for a Super Bowl. next week. Hopefully that's the case this year. That's
That'd be
what's
nice.
trending here on Cody and Gold. Earlier today, we had a chance to catch up with George KARLAFTIS exclusively here in our Ag Power tent. We'll have a player each and every day of training camp that we're up here. And year 2 for George, so we asked him about his role this year and expectations. Excited to be joined here after practice exclusively on 610 Sports Radio by a guy we had on last year. At that time, he was just a rookie. Second year now, maybe even maybe the guy teaching guys a little bit. George KARLAFTIS with us here on 610 Sports Radio. Good to have you, man. How things going so far? I know you're not in pads yet.
Yeah, feels like forever ago that I was on the show, but feels great. You know, being out here, not being a rookie anymore, knowing what's expected, knowing what the deal is, it's been great.
Apologies, by the way. That chair is garbage.
It's awful.
It's uncomfortable. It's awful.
I got you a snow cone, though, if you want it. We normally give them to Chris, but he's not here right now, as we know. But we normally give them to the player who's here as well. So I went with cherry and blue raspberry. I figured those are pretty safe flavors.
Oh, safe.
Yeah, there's almost no issue with it.
We can get to football in just a little bit, but we got to ask you, everybody's talking about Barbie and Oppenheimer. So I don't know if the team at some point is going to see it. Have you seen it yet? And are you planning on seeing either?
No. I'm not seeing
No.
it. Not
No?
seeing
Not a
any of
movie
them.
guy?
No. Not those movies.
What movies? Like Mission Impossible or what?
No, I like sports movies and comedies.
Okay. So what's the last? What's the one that stands out? Maybe in the last year or two. What sport movie or comedy? Comedies have been weak. I feel like the last 5 to 7 years.
I like Adam Sandler, so basically anything he makes. There's been some good ones. You know what? I don't usually like those types of movies, but I liked Avatar. Avatar was pretty good.
Avatar? I didn't see the first one, so I feel like now I'm like 7+ hours in if I'm going to commit to watching it.
You're
It's like
missing
too
out.
late.
So I saw the original, but I haven't seen the new one. But you're saying if I saw the original, will I like the new one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was solid.
So last year, one of the things that we noticed immediately at camp was how much you and Frank were working here on the side. So then our immediate question was, okay, so is George going to work with someone else, or who becomes that veteran, right? Who becomes the guy who works with Enudike Uzama? Who becomes the player who spends these extra minutes working on those technique things?
I think something that you'll notice is that we're all kind of working. We get together for maybe about 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes all together as a D-line, and we'll work pass rush moves and stuff like that after practice with our assistant D-line coach, Terry Braden, and that's been great. You know, we get everybody involved, and we just try to get better as a unit.
I know a lot of people say, like, I don't set goals for myself. Pass rusher feels like maybe the easiest one to do it for.
Yeah.
Because you can just say, I want X number of sacks. Do you try not to do that?
That's not what it's about, though. That's not what it's about. Yeah, the sacks are cool and all that stuff, but that's not really what it's about. You know, when you experience winning a Super Bowl, I mean, there's no. It puts it into the grasp of reality that, like, you know, sacks and all that stuff is cool, but winning is so much better. You know, obviously you want the sacks because you want to help your team out, but winning is just a whole lot better than all that stuff.
When do you feel like it clicked for you last year? Because, we were sitting here up at camp. You were still a rookie. And then it felt like, you can tell me if we're wrong, it felt like, I don't know, maybe week 9 or so, you looked like a different player. Maybe you disagree with that. But when did it kind of click for you?
I think the bye week helped me out a lot. You know, so I think about around that time that you were saying, you know, if I got a solid game against San Fran, then that kind of that week off, you know, and that game week, you know, you set I don't know, you sit back and you relax and you kind of take a deep breath and see what's going on and see where you can improve, and you self-reflect, and I feel like that's where stuff started to change for me.
How do you build off of last year? Because I think we saw some video in the offseason. You worked with former Chief Tamba Hali, right? Is that right? What was that? How did you get in touch with him? Did he reach out to you? How did that all get set up, and what were you guys doing?
Yeah, you know, we have a great player engagement director in Ramsey Robinson. You know, Bino is my guy. Shout out, but you know, he knows my goals. He knows what my drive is and all that stuff. So he's like, hey, you know, I was sitting with Tamba, and I told him about you, and, you know, if I feel like I should give you his number and you could reach out. He said it was cool, and that's kind of how that started. And you know, been blessed and really, really fortunate to work with him and learn from him. He's been just a great role model, great mentor, and has really taught me a lot.
So you're a big, like, I'll find anyone who can teach me something guy. That seemed like between Clark or Tamba. Do you find other veteran NFL players who play on other teams too? You're like, anybody show me something?
As much as I can, yeah.
Last year, so you were a rookie. I know you had a roommate. Did you get your own place this year, or you still have a roommate?
A roommate and what?
At camp.
Everybody's got
even Pat?
See, yeah, you don't believe this.
I have a hard time imagining they make Patrick Mahomes share a room.
It's old school camp.
There's not. You're not sharing a room. It's everybody's got their own room.
But you have a common area.
But yeah, and then you got the what's it called, Jack and Jill bathroom or whatever.
Okay.
So everybody technically has and doesn't have a roommate.
So who's your roommate this year?
Chris Williams.
Chris Williams. Okay, so were you guys roommates? I guess not last year.
No, Leo and I were roommates last year.
Okay, so what made you choose Chris? Do you guys get a decision or just
didn't
show
get
up
to
and it's a
pick.
piece of paper?
You just show up.
That's it? I feel like a veteran at some point you get to pick.
Well, I'm not a veteran.
You sign a contract extension at some point, then you get to say, I'd like this person to be my roommate?
We'll see.
How come you don't feel like a veteran yet? You don't treat yourself that way after a year? Or when's that kick in? 2, 3, 4 years down the road?
I don't know. I don't know when that kicks in, but there's a lot more I want to accomplish, both as an individual and as a team. And, I think for me, it's always that my girlfriend got me this book when I was 17 years old called Ego is the Enemy. And I think it's really important. Just you don't view yourself as the ego. You always try to be humble. And that's really important to me. So I view yourself as a veteran, whatever. I don't, that pride, that ego stuff, it isn't for me. So
we know which nickname stuck for you last year, but our old producer, who's now quit, by the way, so you don't even have to feel bad. He's not on the other air. He was trying to get a nickname to stick for you of Georgie Porgy Pudding Pie.
Nope.
Did you ever hear it?
I'd never heard that. I know the song. I hate that song.
Okay, so you hate the nickname as well.
Yeah.
You would like that to never stick.
I'm so glad to finally hear that. I tried to convince him last year that it's terrible and there's no way that you would like that nickname. And he tried to put
the connotation behind the song itself is kiss the girls and make them cry. That almost sounds like you get a little bit in trouble.
Honestly, I'm impressed you've even heard the song. I mean, I know your name's George, but
not too many people are called George, so.
Fair enough. Now, we know the conditioning test was on Saturday. I'll be honest, that just sounds miserable. It sounds horrific. Walk us through.
Yeah,
and how do you think would we make it? We would fail. We obviously know that, but
I don't know what kind of shape you're in, man.
Look at us. We're radio guys.
Terrible.
If you're in good aerobic shape, if you could run a little bit, if you run every day,
no chance.
Yeah, then maybe you could make it, but you got to be in good shape. It'll be evident who's been training and who hasn't after that test.
I think so much has changed just from your perspective. You grew up in a world where sports were just you trained every day no matter your age. I feel like that would have mattered more. And I still get there's levels of shape, but anymore everyone trains 12 months out of the year. This is their full-time job. This isn't
Yeah, you take about a month off, but yeah.
I mean, it's not like the 30s, I guess, when those guys were in a car dealership at the time in between that. Spags had said that he thought you guys could be – your goal was to be a top 10 defense in efficiency. Now, look, that's a harder thing to measure than just points per game, but why do you think that that's plausible for this team?
Why I think it's plausible, well, the efficiency category puts a lot of – he's pulled it up for us and we've seen it a couple times. It puts a lot of the major categories and somehow combines them all into one score. And, we're returning a lot of guys and a lot of starters. There's more of a confidence, more of a swagger, maybe even more of a trust between the coaches to us, because a lot of us were first-year starters last year. Now second-year starters, it's just that more gained trust. And we have a lot of guys that have played a lot of ball, and that usually happens with defenses. The more experience you get, a lot of times the better you get. So I think the sky's the limit. We got great leadership in all of our coaches on the field. Nick and Chris and everybody, so it's going to be great.
Are you feel like you're taking on a bigger role right now? Obviously Chris isn't here at this point, so it's just your second year, and we were joking about the whole veteran thing, but knowing that, who's kind of stepping up? Who stood out to even you as a player that's maybe filling that role right now?
Well, it's not. Chris is a hard guy to replace.
Sure.
It just when you have someone like that's not here right now, you got to have multiple guys to do it. So I feel like between Derek Nottie and Mike Dana and Charles a little bit and myself, guys that have played, because we have a lot of guys that just simply haven't played a lot. You try to get that leadership or try to fill that void as much as you can. So there's still a certain level of in a standard within the room. But that's set from Coach Cullen, really. That's who really sets it. But you got to have the players to go along with that.
How much easier does Chris Jones make your job when he's on the field?
A lot.
I feel like he takes 95% of the attention, maybe. I don't know.
Did you just say 95 because he's 95?
That's his number.
Is that what you did
No,
there?
I wasn't trying to. I'm just saying I feel like Chris Jones garners enough attention that generally speaking, you get to get the one-on-ones during those moments.
Yeah, I wouldn't say 95%
no, I'm not.
attention. But, yeah, he he allows us to do a lot of different things, and me typically playing next to him, for the vast majority of the time, it's awesome, because just like you said, he demands a double team a lot of the time, the slide for sure, and yeah, it's awesome playing with Chris.
Last one before we let you get out of here. Quarterback on Netflix, of course, been the #1 show on Netflix.
Oh, is it?
You saw a lot of that stuff already, so I don't know how much is new or not, but have you watched it, number one? And if anything, did anything stand out to you that maybe you didn't even realize
1 minute.
being a teammate of his?
Quarterback, yeah, it was a good show. I watched it. Did anything stand out? I mean, we all know and we all respect the hell out of Pat. What he does is it's not gone unnoticed. We see him. He's one of the first people there, one of the last ones to leave. Just something that I was watching the show. I was even inspired. I was there with him, just watching him go through the injury in the playoffs. I think it takes a lot of guts, man, and it shows what kind of competitor he is when you got a guy like that, and Coach Reed leading the ship is scary.
You been to his new crib? You have like a party over there or something? Housewarming?
I have not yet.
Okay. I'm just figuring out if you're getting the invite.
George, we appreciate it, man. Good to see you again.
Absolutely.
Back up here at camp. Enjoy it. You polished off the snow cone awfully quick there.
Mm-hmm.
It's hot.
Well, yeah.
Got to hydrate.
There you go. George KARLAFTIS joining us here from Chiefs training camp. Appreciate you stopping by. There you go. So that was our earlier conversation with now second-year man George KARLAFTIS. Of course, we've talked about the jump that he could take this year, and he doesn't want to put, like most of these guys, don't want to put a number of sacks or anything like that on the table.
It'd be so that's the easiest position almost to just be like, I want to do blank.
Yeah, no question. But I think right now, I mean, you heard him list off a couple names. When Chris isn't out, I mean, yeah, this is why when we were discussing leverage that Chris Jones has, you don't. There's no combination of players that can replicate that, because it's not just the 15.5 sacks that Chris Jones got. It's what it meant for KARLAFTIS' game, being able to play against next to Chris Jones, and not even just the double teams, but he mentioned even when it's not double teams, the lineman's going to slide over and help a little bit at times. And what that does for KARLAFTIS, not to take anything away from his 6+ sacks
where
last
you
year,
can send the blitzes because of the extra attention they're going to send over that way. He's their entire defense. You were Nate Taylor earlier, and if you didn't, go to 610sports.com and pull the podcast page. He is their Patrick Mahomes on defense.
Yes.
He is not quite, because quarterback matters more than anywhere, but he is the second most important player on this team because he plays on the opposite side of the field as Patrick Mahomes. Not saying Kelsey's not an important player and a future Hall of Famer and a tremendous player. It's just Chris Jones matters more because he's on defense.
He said no on Barbie and Oppenheimer. That was the other thing.
I'm a little surprised. He does seem really comfortable this year. I'll say this. He seemed a little stiffer last year.
Oh, he was a rookie.
He seems comfortable.
He was a rookie last year. I mean, even just talking to us, he was very. I mean, you could hear him when you were asking him about the veteran stuff. He's like,
that sound you heard was him chomping on that snow cone for a good chunk of the
he was relaxed. He should be confident. He had a hell of a rookie season. Relax. It's also there's no pads yet. It's early in camp. Everybody's in a little bit. It's a little bit different feel. Practice isn't brutal yet. You're not on pads yet. But, yeah, he said he's not going to see Barbie or Oppenheimer. He's more of a comedy and sports movie guy, which, hey, nothing
That's an
wrong.
all-sports guy. You play a professional sport? Because I feel like a lot of people want to get away from their job, right? Like, am I doing
he
sports
was talking
movie
about
in
quarterback,
addition to
and he said he even still came away more impressed with how Mahomes handled the ankle injury after watching the pain and the work that he was putting in.
And how badly he wanted to be in that game.
That's the part
not that
you have to win over teammates, but he's done that a long time ago. But, that's what – I mean, if you're a teammate, how can you not be motivated to grind through it when you see someone go through that and find a way to play at that level?
I'm telling you, this much makes it a little harder to walk in there and be like, my back's a little tight. I'm not sure I'm ready to go this week. You'd be like, what? You don't think you're ready to go this week because your back's a little tight? Get your ass in there. Did you see Patrick? He was dragging that bum ankle all around the place. That part of it has always felt very true to me, where it's just like, if you're the ticky-tack injury person, it always feels like it's kind of hard to watch quarterback and not feel that way. I think we'll talk about it more later in this week, but KARLAFTIS is an incredibly important player for the Chiefs, but also one who I think's breakout is inevitable. You just look at the numbers for the final, 7 games of last year, and talking to KARLAFTIS, and Chris Jones. You and I both think Chris Jones is going to play for the team this year.
KARLAFTIS worked with Tamba this offseason, which I actually think is a really good thing for him.
He's the sponge guy. That's clear. He wants to work with somebody.
I still think, it sounds like you would take the over. If I said over under 8.5 sacks, it sounds like you would take the over on that.
Yep, I would.
Yeah.
But I can explain more later. We don't have time in the show today to break it all down, but Yeah, I would take the over for a variety of reasons, but that's because I'm a believer that his game translates. I just think that it'll work. It'll work in the league.
There's Brandy. I was waiting for a little Brandy. Appreciate our intern who did a great job today, by the way.
Fine work,
Quentin back in the studio helping us navigate our first day of camp this year. Tomorrow we're back in studio, only a 1-hour show because of Royals baseball. We'll be back in St. Joe up here on Friday. And we'll have another player join us here exclusively on 610. Coming up next, though, it's The Drive with C-Dot and Rob on 610 Sports Radio.